What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My goodness, it has been way too long since we last done a podcast, but I'm sure that, like my cohort, TwilightLink21xx here, can attest to, we have been uber busy. How are you doing, Twilight?
I am doing quite well. Been very busy myself. Basically, that's why these podcasts have basically come to a halt and why we're finally now doing podcast number 2 here on the MAVcast. I've been busy with school over at the University of Texas, which we'll be talking about more later in our sports section.
Hook 'em horns, man.
Hook 'em horns, hook 'em horns. I've been basically busy with school, particularly film school, as it's also, as you guys probably noticed on my main channel, affected the rollout of those videos. Since the last time we talked, I had to move over to a monthly schedule and may actually be finally taking a break from reviewing Naruto. It's just mind-numbing how long this arc has gone over. If you want to hear my thoughts, you can check that over on the main channel.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug, number 1. And then, of course, I've also been trying to, balance my schedule of anime and games. Couple of projects coming in the pipeline we'll talk about at the end for the new year. But, yeah, it's been a really rough semester. First semester at UT, but that's just how it goes, and thankfully next semester should be a little bit lighter, although don't count on it because guess what? I am starting Japanese.
Oh boy. Yeah, you're in for quite the undertaking with that language because it's like one of the most difficult languages to learn. I think I actually heard something that English is the hardest language in the world to learn, but other than that, Japanese is pretty rough.
Japanese is difficult for those of us that are not familiar with the alphabet. That's what makes it difficult. Once you get past that, the actual structure is pretty similar to the rest of the languages of the world. So,
yeah.
That's the killer part. But
yeah, because I've been talking... Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yeah, because I was talking to Chie Nakamura. For those of you who don't know, Chie Nakamura is a seiyuu. She's a voice actress over in Japan. She's the voice of Sakura in the Naruto anime. She has done like a bunch of other like voices for several different anime and video games. I actually made the mistake one time asking what all has she done, and I thought she was just going to say, "Oh, I've done plenty of things." She actually copied and pasted all her work. We were talking on Facebook. I had to scroll all through it. The only thing I could respond to her with was, "You do a lot of things." So anyway, she was telling me about the Japanese alphabet, and I'm like, wow, if I want to learn this language, first I need Rosetta Stone. Second, I need to familiarize myself with the alphabet, which that's easier said than done.
Man, she's a crazy transparent seiyuu. That's nuts.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact total, but she said she keeps pretty busy. Yeah. That she's got 3 kids and a husband and all that good stuff, all that life has to offer. Okay. So anyway, yeah. Oh man.
Very, very crazy, but very cool all the same. Mm-hmm. So, welcome to our holiday edition, I should say.
Yeah, December 27th, 2 days after Christmas. So, Merry Christmas to you all, and I hope you all have a Happy New Year. And, just to catch you all guys up, the reason why I haven't been adding content, on my YouTube channel, well, I did add a video, a couple days ago, 2 days ago, excuse me, I'm sorry. But that was an Ocarina vid, because I haven't, put up any, content for months and months, because one is motivation. I really haven't, been, wanting to review any, new manga chapters because I'm sure all you can attest to this. The more you read manga chapters, the more you feel like you have to review them. And you know what? I just kind of got sick of reviewing stuff, and I was kind of losing interest in manga. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to put the reviews on hold for now, and I'm just going to read for fun because that's all really is supposed to be is fun for me. So, and basically, school kind of kicked me in the teeth this semester. I managed to escape with my GPA somewhat intact, and I got one more semester at good old Missouri State University, and hopefully this will be my last semester, and then I'll be able to get a big boy job.
Oh boy.
Yep. Corporate life is the life for me. I'm hoping that with all that money, and after I get my loans paid off, more manga can be purchased and more cosplays can be commissioned, because I need to go to another convention soon.
Yeah. I haven't gone to a con in a while myself. I probably need to head on over soon. Well, all right.
Yeah, well, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt again, but
No,
we're stepping all over. We're stepping on each other's toes here, folks. That's kind of how we roll here on the MAVcast.
It's kind of obvious. It's been a while.
Yeah, we need to meet in the middle somewhere. Maybe hit up Tokyo and Tulsa next summer, or better yet, maybe we could hit up A-Kon in Dallas next May, and we can you and I can finally meet in person for the first time, because
that might be a good idea. I'll have to look into it, though. I know right now the biggest problem is that I have a real budget problem for stuff like that.
Yeah.
As you guys know, when I came out to Austin, I actually moved my family, so that's been a little bit of financial stress. Mainly because her house hasn't sold, just because of the nature of the housing market. But what can you do? That's what you got me for.
That's kind of odd. Usually, it's the family that moves the child, not the other way around.
Yeah, you'd think, but no. It was just one of those weird serendipitous moments that everyone was moving to Austin at the same time, and it was just like, you know what? I can move back in because I don't really mind that much. I actually like my family, so they're willing to put up with me.
Yeah, folks, if you ever get the opportunity to live with your parents during college, do it. It will save you a lot of money, because then you won't have to worry about room and board and anything. Now, you might have to pay rent. Yeah, you might have to pay rent, but trust me, or if your parents are nice enough, I didn't have to pay rent, so maybe that's cool. So yeah, live with your parents for as long as possible whenever you're in college.
It's actually worth it.
Oh, trust me, yes it is. Plus, all your stuff is there anyway. Plus, free food and cable if you're lucky enough to have those.
I know, how can you argue with that?
Yeah, and free internet.
Yeah.
Well, granted, I think internet's free at the quotation marks, free at the college, though your tuition pays for it.
You're paying for it. Everything at college, you're paying for it.
Yeah. Oh man, gotta put the 3DS aside.
Alright, let's go ahead and dive in then. So before we get started into our topic du jour of the day, let's go ahead and talk about Christmas hauls.
Oh yes. Well, I came away, granted, my family, we do a little different than everyone's family, or maybe other people do this, I don't know. What my mom usually does is my mom and dad actually, we come up with a budget, and we pretty much, get our gifts as many gifts as the budget allows. So, the budget for me this year was $280, and that's the $30 increase from last year. Usually it's $250, this year it's $280. Okay. So, I basically got, and I pretty much ordered all my gifts. And I know my mom was kind of sad about that, and kind of irritating me about that, because she says it's no fun that way because I know all my gifts. It's just easier that way, trust me. So I bought the Legend of Zelda A Link Between Worlds 3DS XL Golden 3DS bundle. And that was on Cyber Monday. And with that, with the package, it comes with a downloadable code, so you can download the game in question. I also got another physical copy of a game called Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate. Now, for those of you who probably played it before, you probably played Monster Hunter 3 Portable, or whatever it's called, or you played it on the Wii in the form of Monster Hunter Tri. So it's basically an HD a high-res version of the game you probably already played, but trust me, they've added in a bunch of new content with a lot of more weapons classes, that it is well worth it and well worth your time again to go out and buy this updated version. It's also available on the Wii U, which has online play, so if you have a Wii U, go and get that. Unfortunately, the 3DS version does not have online play, but it does have local co-op for up to 4 hunters at once. And with that, if you're gonna, with that, you might want to, actually, it is in your best interest to get the Circle Pad Pro, whether for the 3DS or the 3DS XL, like I do. That way, you will be basically getting a second analog stick, and trust me, it is a lot better than using a stylus and using the D-pad on the touchscreen to operate the camera. And basically, that's it for me. And not a whole lot of gifts this year, because the gifts I got were really expensive. So I blew through my budget in 3 gifts. What about you?
Well, we had a little bit of a budget decrease this year, so we weren't able to get as much.
Aww.
But that's okay, because it was made up for in spades by what it was. So I didn't have any gifts for my folks under the tree this year. Instead, they gave it to us in advance, and my brothers and I were able to go and see Monday Night Raw live here in Austin at the Frank Irwin Center. It was fantastic. Got to go with one of my good friends. It was the Christmas episode of Raw, so of course nothing really counts. It's pretty much in its own little bizarre world. But you know what? It doesn't matter. It's wrestling.
It doesn't matter!
And the biggest thing is that, you gotta see all the great superstars that you know and love, your favorite wrestlers and stuff. So we got to do that, walked away with a little bit of merch. I left with a Best in the World t-shirt, so you can't argue with that too much.
Oh, of course not.
You gotta get merch. I mean, it's a given.
Yep. Yeah.
It's wrestling. So,
of course. And,
that was a lot of fun. Got to get out with my brothers.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, and I don't know whether I should save this for the sports section or not, but I have something to say. I've come to a realization, and it pains me to say it, because it affects one of my favorite wrestlers, but I've come to grips with it, but I'll save that for later. And he's one of your favorites too, I know. But I have to say it because it's a cruel reality, although it's kind of his own fault too, but we'll save that for the sports section.
Yeah, we'll save it for then. But other than wrestling, we did get a couple other tiny things. It was mostly cash, and gift cards. My brothers and I each got GameStop gift cards, and we add them all up together in order to get ourselves, 2 games. We're gonna be getting a third one later, which is, Zelda Link Between Worlds.
It's awesome, by the way.
Looking forward to that. Absolutely love Zelda. That's one of our favorite games here on the MAVcast. Probably the #1 title to pick up for the year.
Yeah. Whether it's the Wind Waker HD bundle that you got with your Wii U, or whether you're like me and you got the golden 3DS XL of Link Between Worlds, you can't go wrong.
No, you just can't. It's Zelda. All
Nope.
Zelda is good. The worst Zelda is still a better game than most of the games that you can pick up today on any console, anywhere.
Ain't that the truth?
Anyways, though, so we're gonna get that, but we already have picked up the best game on the Wii U right now, Super Mario 3D World. Oh my god.
I saw that. I mean,
what a game.
Yeah.
I am genuinely surprised at how good that game is. I mean, just the graphics, the frame rate, if you've seen stuff on YouTube and that's what you're saying, oh, I don't want to get that game. I've already seen it on YouTube.
I do.
It doesn't look right. If the YouTube videos just do not do it justice.
Yeah.
You need to see it in person.
You need to play it. That's the thing. You need to play it. Of course you need to
play it. But even if you don't play it and just have a chance to see it in motion, you will become a believer. The game is just so stable with that frame rate. 60 frames. There's a reason that Nintendo is the best at what they do. There's a reason they're not dead yet. That game shows you why. And this is coming from someone that was cold on the game when they first showed it at E3 during the Nintendo Direct that they aired this year. Just wow.
I don't see, now granted, maybe this is because I love Mario to death, but I don't see why people were kicking dirt on it. It's like, it's more Mario, it's more platforming greatness, shut up.
The problem is that we already got Mario 3D Land, and the game when they showed it looked just like Mario 3D Land. And most of us were wanting another game like Mario Galaxy. So when this is the big revelation, this is 3D Mario, most of us were like, really? 3D Land? I mean, it's not a bad game. It's just that I've played that game. I have it on my 3DS, and it was good. It was a good compromise for the 3DS, because you can't really do true 3D Mario on there.
Yeah.
But we wanted the new Wii U Mario to be Wii U Mario. I mean, is that too much to ask for?
Well,
apparently so.
Apparently so for Nintendo, which I will touch on there. I mean, Nintendo, I love you, but we have to have a come to Jesus meeting.
Well, the other thing is that they also did say, and Miyamoto flat out told us that they will be making a proper Galaxy-style game in the future. They just need to get this out first because, one, it allows people that don't play 3D Mario to jump in on the action, but also the fact that that was the kind of game they wanted to do first. And once you play it, you understand. And the good thing is that I've heard about this, and this is what made me doubly say, okay, time to plop down and get the game. The amount of content on the disc is insane. You beat the game, and then there's a whole slew of bonus worlds that are all brutal. And to fully complete the game, to fully complete it, you have to play through the game twice, because they also give you extra characters.
Yeah, so it's essentially, in RPG terms, it's like New Game Plus.
Exactly. And except that New Game Plus are new levels. And they can kick your butt.
Good.
So you can't argue with that. I mean, Nintendo saying, you know what, we know. We're going to make it easy for the kids that haven't played it yet, and for those of y'all that have been playing for forever, here you go.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's one of the criticisms against Nintendo, well, always has been, is that challenge is a little on the light side, but glad to see that they're finally making it hard. Granted, I don't need to see the original Super Mario Brothers too hard, because that's like bite the controller, eat your controller, and rage hard. I don't need that, but just a little more challenge would be nice.
For those of you that are US only gamers that don't know, the game that he's referring to is actually
Lost Levels.
known to us in the West as the Lost Levels.
Yeah.
But it is the true Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan, so thus the name confusion. Anyway, so we got Mario, but the other thing that we got is the last story for the Wii. This was something that
you haven't played that yet?
I've never gotten it, even though I took part in Operation Rainfall. We had not picked up that game, which is funny because of the 3 games, that was the one I wanted the most. Yet, out of all of them, I only have 2 copies of Xenoblade, and that's because my brothers and I each got one when it came out.
Yeah.
So
the last
we
story,
pick up Pandora's Tower, but we got the last story.
I've got all 3 of those games that you're referring to. The last story is pretty good. Not as good as Xenoblade, but then again, I mean, yeah, what is this generation? Maybe Ni no Kuni on the PlayStation 3, but other than that, no. I would still take Xenoblade Chronicles over Ni no Kuni. But the last story, it's pretty good. I mean, it's got music by Nobuo Uematsu, and who I actually got to meet in person this past March. I even got his autograph. Anyway, back to the game. Thanks to the Wii U's less than stellar hardware, you are going to have a lot of frame rate issues whenever you're taking on a bunch of enemies at once. Not to mention,
not the Wii U.
The Wii. Excuse me, folks. Sorry about that, folks. Freudian slip. But on the Wii, yeah, you're going to have some hardware issues unless you can play it on the Wii U. Maybe I'll smooth some things out, but I'm not entirely sure.
It probably won't, but I'll give it a shot. I'll see if it makes a difference.
Yeah, and I mean, pretty much it's your basic action RPG hack and slash and hack. Although to be fair, that does get kind of boring after a while, and the story is pretty much your standard JRPG fare. So other than that, it's a pretty good game, except for my minor complaints with the frame rate and the no frills storyline that you can probably see you can see the ending from a mile away.
All right, good to know.
Yep.
All right. Well, sounds like we each had a pretty decent holiday takeaway.
Yeah.
We're going to take this moment to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about one of our main topics of the evening, Nintendo's holiday network outages, and the other various companies as well, because Nintendo wasn't the only one, but they did have it down the longest, so you have to talk about that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the corporate structure of Nintendo. We'll have more about sports and our thoughts in the new year later tonight. Stay tuned, guys. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So, we've already talked a little bit about our holidays, and I know that you ended up running to a little something. Am I right, Drew?
You could say that, although that's pretty much a big understatement. Okay, like I said in the last segment, I got the Legend of Zelda Link Between Worlds 3DS XL Gold 3DS bundle, which looks beautiful, by the way. Golden Triforce on the front, black Triforce on the back, just to show the whole Parallel Worlds thing. Well, anyway, now, whenever I tried to, because as I mentioned before, you get a downloadable code to get a Link Between Worlds to download off the eShop. Sounds perfect. Well, not so much. See, whenever I tried to download the said game on eShop, I could not get logged into the eShop. Now, granted, this is Christmas Day we're talking about, and at first I thought there's something was wrong with my 3DS. But I ran through all the checks and everything, but I still couldn't get logged into the eShop. So I went onto the Nintendo tech support forums, and apparently everyone else in the known freaking universe that has a 3DS or a Wii U was actually having the same problem. So, server overload. Yeah, that's really fun. So, I tried on again, off again on Christmas Day to try to get it resolved. Okay, I have to admit this right now. Nintendo isn't the only one that had a problem with this. Microsoft had a problem. Sony had a problem. Even Steam had this very same problem. The only difference between Nintendo and the three companies that I mentioned, well, Steam really technically isn't a company, but you get the idea. Valve is a company that runs Steam. Well, the big difference between Nintendo and those three online services that I mentioned prior, Sony, Microsoft, and Valve got their systems working in a timely fashion. Nintendo, on the other hand, did not. So I pretty much went to bed Christmas night and I didn't get to enjoy the game that came with my package. Okay, but not all is lost. Like I said before, I got Monster Hunter to keep me company. That's all well and good. I tried the following day. The same thing is still happening. And so I'm getting frustrated, and I'm trying to, because I want to play Zelda. Yeah, whenever a new Zelda game comes out, I'm like a crack addict that needs to get his fix. I needs me my Zelda. So I tried on again, off again, all day on the 26th, the day after Christmas, to try to get it to no avail. The 27th, which is today, we got an hour left on the 27th, still having problems in the morning. And so I had to wait until about 12:30 Central Standard Time to finally get into the eShop, set up my accounts, get my Nintendo ID logged in and everything like that, and finally download the game 2 days later. And actually, I've heard some from other forum users that this all started like Christmas Eve, because people will open their gifts early, and they will have this problem. I think it's when I know when the eShop went down, but another thing like Miiverse or something like that went down.
Everything went down. I was on NeoGAF when it was going on because we couldn't get our Wii U hooked up to the internet.
Yeah.
It went down completely for the entire day. They started to get some of the functionality back, but it wasn't all back to 100% until about, I don't know.
If you were really lucky, you could actually get in for a split second to see if you could get that patch for your Pokemon X and Y game, but yeah, that's only if you were really, really lucky. Yeah. So, I mean, granted, I'm a big boy. I understand what was going on. So I relaxed. It didn't ruin my Christmas. We had, my family and I, we relaxed. We watched NBA basketball all day. We had a great meal, but every time I tried to log in the eShop and download my game, error codes out the wazoo. So, granted, I am an adult, so I handled this with as much maturity as possible. Granted, I was kind of frustrated, as I'm sure you were, Twilight. But
I wasn't. I was just kind of put off, but not frustrated at all.
Yeah, I mean,
I expected it to happen. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, the thing is, when you're expecting this kind of thing to happen, that is a big problem. Because this is an issue that, I'm sorry, this should not happen to any company. I mean, granted, they should have anticipated this to actually happen this holiday season. But here's the point I'm trying to make. I'm an adult, I'm patient, but how many little kids' Christmas were ruined because of this? I can't tell you how many times I went on the forums and parents of children saying that their kids' Christmas was ruined because they couldn't get the one gift they got for Christmas. Because a lot of families, and especially in this economy, they can only afford one gift, whether that's the Zelda, the 3DS bundle, whether that's the Wii U. And the kids were very confused why they couldn't get their games to work. Yeah. I mean, if I was a parent, I would this issue would be magnified tenfold, actually 100-fold, because my kid's Christmas is ruined because of this, and I'm blaming you, Nintendo, because it is Nintendo's fault.
Well, the thing that's really a problem is that, and this is where the real problem lies in, why is Nintendo, with these bundles, doing a digital eShop download instead of giving you a license that has the game already pre-installed. That's what I don't understand, is why they're doing it that way these days. Because I actually got a 3DS for Christmas last year. And it was the Mario Holiday Bundle. And when I got mine, the game was already installed and ready to go. Out of the box. Yeah, so why is Nintendo doing this is my real question. I'd say that that's the real problem here. Because you wouldn't have this onslaught of traffic like this if you didn't have so many vouchers floating out there. And I'd say that this is more of a commentary on digital commerce, because Steam was having the same problems because of the Left 4 Dead 2 for free. Yeah. Those servers were just chugging. You could get in, but you'd have to reload like nuts in order to get in. I barely got in. Yeah.
I mean, didn't they do this with the Fire Emblem bundle, Path of Radiance? That's the
Fire Emblem Awakening bundle? Yes, they did the same thing for that one, because my brother got that one. But he didn't have any problems because of when it came out. It came out, March? And that's not when you're gonna have this much traffic going on. With the Wii U, you had people getting it for Christmas and then connecting immediately to download the game, which is fine. That's the real reason that Nintendo is doing this, to get you to connect the system to the internet, so that way you can get on the eShop, that way you see the eShop, know it's there, see that you can buy digital, want to buy digital. I'm totally cool with that aspect, but the problem is, when you've got all these holiday bundles, you got to think for a second there, how is this going to hurt our servers if we go all digital here? There's a reason that Microsoft and Sony have never done that. There's a reason that they give you physical discs with the console when you buy it.
Yeah, but the thing is, I will applaud Nintendo for going in that direction, because, and I know you're going to disagree with me on this, and and you always will, but because of our off-air conversations, digital distribution, whether you like it or not, it's the wave of the future. Granted, it's in the far-off future, like 10, 20, possibly 30 years, but it's happening. It's going to happen. Physical media is going to go away. Just like whenever the computer replaced the typewriter, physical media is going to be replaced by people like to refer to it as the cloud, or Web 2.0, or whatever you want to call it.
3.0.
Web 3.0 now. But, I mean, this is the way of the future, and I know that this sort of thing, it's not going to be a smooth process. No process that's worth getting or worth doing. Nothing comes easy. I understand that this is going to take a lot of growing pains, but this sort of thing with Nintendo, it should not have happened. I mean, the board of directors had to have had meetings prior to the holiday season to say, okay, we are gonna sell the Wii U and 3DS like gangbusters here. So we have to buy more servers, or we have to, protect our servers and get enough servers and network so that way no one's missing out on their Christmas, because a lot of people are probably going to get the Wii or the Wii U with the electronic bundles, or the 3DS with the electronic bundles. They had to have seen this coming, and if they truly did not see this coming, what does that tell you?
Well, here's the other thing you have to keep in mind, though. Nintendo may have actually thought through all of that already. The problem is that they've been having some network issues as a whole, and one of the things, and this is due to pressure from us, the gamers, was that they had a major update to all of their servers to put Miiverse on both the 3DS and the Wii U. They actually just had done that maybe, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago is when they finally had the major 3DS update that brought Miiverse to the 3DS. And that really shows what's going on here, and what I believe to be the reason that Nintendo had such a catastrophic crash on their servers, which is that they don't have an ecosystem like Sony or Microsoft, which has gradually built up and is around the one console. Nintendo has now unified their two networks. And networking is something that Nintendo has not historically done. They did it with the Wii, but it was pretty much relegated to the Wii Connect 24 service, which doesn't require the constant pinging that online gaming has today. They kept each of the servers for each game separate. There wasn't one big network like there is with the Nintendo network today. Yeah. And the thing is that now they're not just dealing with one console. They're dealing with two consoles. And each of them, we don't know how many people were jumping on board now, but they clearly weren't prepared to have that many people on the servers, which makes sense because historically Nintendo consoles don't get hooked up to the internet.
Yeah.
But now that they are pushing people to connect their consoles to the web with these download vouchers, you're going to get crashes like this. I mean, it's unavoidable. Unfortunately, this is also something that does typically happen. I mean, last year there was a network snafu with Nintendo as well. It's just that it wasn't down as long as this was because, again, damage.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. With every company going towards the whole digital distribution model, this sort of thing shouldn't happen as often. I mean, if we're expecting this sort of thing to happen, that's kind of a bad thing. And companies, Nintendo, Microsoft, Sony, and Valve, let's throw EA in there with with Origin in there.
Yeah.
All those companies and any video game company, all those developers, publishers, what have you, they really need to actually look at this instance, and Nintendo especially. They need to make sure that this doesn't happen again, or if it does happen, on a lesser level, because this is ridiculous.
Well, at the same time, the other thing that we need to ask is, are we at a place right now that digital should become the primary? Are we at that point yet? And I really don't feel we're at that point yet. I really think that...
Well, obviously we're not at the point.
These companies are jumping the gun on this. I really think what they need to be thinking about instead is either A, moving away from optical media and moving more towards solid state, or they need to just stick with the optical. I mean, at this point, digital distro, especially in more rural areas, is just not an option. Whereas right now for me, I'm in Austin. I'm in one of the places that's got great connections. I've got fantastic internet service here. When I was out in Kingsville, Texas, which is a little bit more rural, and is one of the better places in that area to have internet because I'm next to the university, the internet speeds out there were abysmal. You constantly had networks going down. I was just in the Rio Grande Valley in Far for Christmas with my family, and we actually had the internet go down for an entire day in the area. I mean, as of right now, the internet structure outside major metropolitan areas just cannot support it yet. So it's a ways off. And game companies like Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony really need to decide and really need to have a better grip of that, especially considering that, that's in America. What's it like in other nations that are not in Europe? I mean...
Australia's they're hooked up. I mean, their entire country's on fiber optic.
Yeah, but again, those are countries with geography that, in comparison to some of these other ones, I mean, look at South America. Shoot, dude, they're.
Did they? I think they just got electricity just last week. I kid. I apologize to our one South American listener
that we know is out there. Well, hey, who knows? I know that I've got some Brazilianos on my channel. Maybe they're listening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I know. You brought something up. You said to maybe go away from optical media to go back to solid state, kind of like how it was back during the 8 and 16-bit era. With cartridges and all. That would be kind of cool, not just because I wanted to see the stores line store shelves be lined with cartridges once again, because as you know, both of us were children of the 90s. I grew up. I'm still an SNES fan at heart. I mean, that's probably my favorite console of all time, next to the PS2.
SNES on the right,
yeah,
on the left. I'm not kidding.
Yeah,
I could show you.
Oh no! I mean, I believe you. Right now, I'm looking over my bed, and I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 consoles. 4 Nintendo consoles, 3 Sega consoles, and that's just in my bedroom. I've got other consoles scattered throughout the top floor, which I live here at my house, and just oh my gosh! But you need to think about this to every major video game company. You need to think about this the next time, because digital distribution, granted, we aren't there yet, but I think if we keep pushing towards this, we can possibly get it. Granted, we need to have faster internet speed, and I would love to have no bandwidth broadband caps or whatever they're called, but granted, that's easier said than done with cable companies trying to make as much money as possible. But this sort of thing, basically, I just don't want to have to wait 2 days after Christmas to get the game I got for Christmas to work. So, yeah. And 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 I don't mean to switch gears here. Well, actually I do, but maybe the reason why Nintendo is so behind in this is because the corporate structure. Now, granted, you know my disagreements with Iwata. Hey, listen, I got nothing personal against the guy. He seems like a cool person to hang out with. But Iwata, and let's just throw the entire board of directors on there anyway. These guys, Nintendo is an old school Japanese video game company, and they do things in an old school Japanese video game company way. And to be honest, that is not getting it done here in in 2013. It's going to be 2014 here. And they just seem to be so behind, so stuck in the past. They're pretty much doing business the same way they were doing it in 1996, which is very, very sad.
Well, can you blame them, though? I mean, you have to keep in mind, with the way that things have gone in gaming over the past decade, we've seen it change from being just about the games, which Nintendo has always been about, to where now we're creating media hubs. And that's something that we know for a fact that Nintendo of America understands. Nintendo TV was completely designed by NOA with no input from Japan. Mm-hmm. And they understand, look, the Wii, the systems, they looked at the sales for the Wii and they realized a lot of people were buying it as a Netflix box. NOA and guys like Reggie Fils-Aimé, they're the ones that understand what's going on in gaming in the US. You can tell, for example, when they went to the VGX, you can see the look of frustration on Reggie's face as he's like, man, I wish NCL Japan, Nintendo Japan, would let me show something off other than Donkey Kong again. I get your frustrations, but I can't do anything about it.
Well, let's throw the VGX thing out, because we all know that's not a real award show. That award show is garbage.
But you can tell that by some of the tweets that Reggie was putting out there, some of the things that Jeff was showing, that they were originally at some point going to try and get Nintendo to let them show off Zelda Dynasty Warriors. You know that's what they were going to do. Yeah,
I would have loved to have seen that. And me personally, Nintendo, I haven't played a decent Star Fox game since the 90s, so maybe you could, I don't know, hint at that sort of thing? That would really get me excited.
Well, he hinted at Metroid. He was wearing that little lapel thing.
Oh, yeah, but we've had Metroid recently. I mean, that's been in the limelight since the early 2000s, and granted, we haven't had a good Star Fox game, a real Star Fox game, with flying in it and only flying, pretty much since 1997, and oh crap, I lost my train of thought. With the N64 release of Star Fox 64. I mean, granted, yes, there were games in Star Fox series, but I tend to ignore those. If you ask me,
the GameCube entries were not exactly spectacular, and they were all farmed out. So
I just don't. I just refuse to acknowledge their existence. I mean, those are not Star Fox games.
Well, I'd say that definitely not Ventures, which is a good game in its own right. It's just not a Star Fox game. But Assault, I'd say, was at least in the spirit of Star Fox. I'll give it that much. Was it a great game? Not really. It lacked focus. But it was at least trying to be a Star Fox game.
Yeah.
I'll give it that much.
And actually, I want to retract my last statement. We did get a decent Star Fox game in the 2000s with Star Fox Command on the DS. And that's pretty much, it goes back to the SNES, pretty much harkens back to the SNES days. Yeah. But the thing is, Jude, you missed your opportunity with the Wii, with Star Fox, with the motion controls. I would have been so happy if I got a Star Fox game then. But, Nintendo, you missed your opportunity with that. Do not miss the opportunity with Star Fox on the Wii U. Come on, there's no telling what you could do with that gamepad.
It all goes back to the management issue, and this is something I don't think a lot of people that sit here and talk about Nintendo day in, day out really understand. The way that their corporate structure is set up has it as such that we can complain about NOA all day, which we have been for years now, particularly with the Operation Rainfall thing. That happened. Reggie has come to light saying, no, guys, the petition, yeah, we saw that. Does that matter to us in terms of feedback, knowing that you guys are there? Yes. But that doesn't have any weighing on our decisions of what's coming. We were wanting to bring these games over, particularly Xenoblade. We just need to weigh our options and figure out what's the best way we can do it. How can we get it done? Because essentially, without saying it, Reggie's telling us that their hands are tied based off what NCL will let them do. Mm-hmm. And the real issues lie in the Japanese structure. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, fire Iwata, fire Iwata, fire Iwata. That's not going to change a blasted thing.
Fire them all.
The issue is that you have a board of directors that were still in the pockets of, oh shoot, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name.
Yamauchi?
Yamauchi-san, thank you. Basically, Hiroshi Yamauchi was the godfather still at Nintendo. Even though he was letting Iwata run the show, he was the one that gave them their last big idea, which was the whole dual screens thing, and going after a different market. Because basically, guys, the reason that Nintendo has never gone after the core market ever since the death of the GameCube is because you didn't buy the GameCube. So you have for all you people who are core Nintendo fans who say, I wish, if you didn't buy a GameCube, this is your fault. It's simple as that. You didn't buy it when it was time. That was their last big attempt to get the core fans. You didn't buy the GameCube, you didn't buy the games. That's why they're not going after us. Remember that, because that's why Arakawa got the boot.
Well, the reason why no one bought the GameCube is because, well, for one thing, Sony was just decimating the competition because they offered a better product. You can't blame the consumer for going for the better product. I mean, can you? PS2 and Xbox, those were my consoles. I didn't own a GameCube back whenever it was hot. I own one now. I also own a Wii, so it's kind of, oh, why do I still have the GameCube? Because it looks nice next to my N64. But the reason
you can do better output if you buy the expensive cables.
Yeah, which I would like to do it, but I'm not sure. Yeah, I would like to do it. Yeah, they are very expensive, but
decent knockoff.
Yeah, but anyway, the reason why I didn't buy a GameCube, the reason why I stuck with my Xbox, the original Xbox, not the crappy Xbox One that Microsoft puts out now, but the original Xbox, and the reason why I stuck with the PS2, because they were better products. And
the thing you have to keep in mind is that I'm not discounting that they were, at the time, more attractive to the core consumer, because they were. You had Xbox Live on Xbox, which was revolutionary,
yes,
as well as Halo and Halo 2,
yes,
and some decent PC ports. Granted, you're still better off playing those games on PC, but when the Xbox first came out, that was a very affordable way to play those games that in a form that you wouldn't necessarily be able to form out of the box normally. And then the PlayStation 2 had the market with a stranglehold on Japanese developers, as well as a good chunk of the Western developers, because it just was the console to be on.
Yeah.
Because all the people with PS1s jumped on the PS2, and it had DVDs in a time when DVD players were expensive.
Yeah.
So you had both of that going for you. Whereas the GameCube, it was the GameCube. And I'm not faulting people for not buying it, because based on I can only buy one console. What I am saying, though, is that for those of you guys that are saying, now, well, I want this game, and I want that game, and I want this, why can't I get these games? Well, it's because no one bought them. It's simple as that. Nintendo failed to provide a good enough product, yes, in comparison to their competition. But let's not just sit here and act like apologists. The problem is that they don't see that there is a viable market. It is niche. Because the fact of the matter is that some of these titles are niche. That's not to say that they're bad games. I love all of these games. I love F-Zero. I love Star Fox. I love Metroid, which also gets thrown out there. I love all these games. I really do. I love the obscure Nintendo IPs. They're great. But the problem is that Nintendo is a business. And they have to think, can this sell? Will this sell? And that's why we haven't gotten F-Zero. Because F-Zero, the last F-Zero game that came out on GameCube, it did okay on GameCube standards, but from a perspective of where we're at now, that's not good enough. The new F-Zero needs to sell more. Now granted, they're hearing our cries, and it sounds like the Mario Kart team's gonna make F-Zero after they're done with Mario Kart.
Why couldn't they get...
From what I've seen from the interviews.
Yeah, I just wish that Sega would make the new F-Zero game. But my point is this. You can't fault the consumer for going for better products, and the PS2 was definitely a better product than the GameCube.
But you can't at the same time. You also have to understand that from a business decision, Nintendo is from the perspective of well, this didn't sell. It makes sense. It does. I'm not saying that it's the right thing, but from a business perspective and using historical data, which is empirical, because the fact of the matter is that their sales in some of these franchises did decline, because even from the SNES to the 64, you can make the argument, yeah, but that was against the PlayStation. It doesn't matter. Those games went downhill in sales and were not as profitable as they should have been.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
And another reason why I didn't buy the game...
World.
Yeah, another reason why I didn't buy a GameCube is because it didn't have online play. I was one of those people that got Xbox Live, and to this day, you will not convince me otherwise that Halo 2 wasn't the greatest console first-person shooter online experience. You won't convince me otherwise. I mean, it was pretty much all downhill from there. So, I mean, Nintendo is finally starting to realize that, hey, people want to play on the internet. They didn't at the time, and granted, I can't really blame them for thinking about that. But since Xbox Live was still mainly just a Western thing, but the PS2 had online, and that was fun it was fun. I mean, Ratchet and Clank.
GameCube technically had it. It's just no one took advantage of it.
It technically had it, yeah. I mean, you could you could connect it to the internet, but how many games did it have? Like, only 5 games out of its entire... 3 games? Yeah, 3 games, and I mean, well, I can't remember any of the 3 games.
It was just Phantasy Star Online that could go online. Everything else was just for LAN. Like Mario Kart, you could LAN, but you still have to have a LAN party.
Yeah, which, hey, those are fun. I miss LAN parties.
They're great. We need, people need to do those more often. There's just something about having everyone in the same room, but...
Yeah, we actually got me and my friends, we had a old school Halo 2 LAN party not too long ago. It was great.
Oh, that must have been so fun.
Yeah, it was.
Anyways, back to Nintendo though. Honestly, there's a bigger issue here, and we've talked about it in the past. I don't know if we've recorded it or not, but we talked about it in the past. When Yamauchi passed, they left a door open, and this is something that maybe you can take solace in. The person who was driving for the core consumer during the GameCube days was Arakawa, who was the president of Nintendo of America at the time, prior to bringing in Reggie Fils-Aimé. And he ended up having a falling out with Yamauchi because they both felt like Nintendo needed to go in different directions. Arakawa was saying go for the core. Yamauchi was saying no, we need to go for a different consumer. We cannot compete. NOA seems to understand that they don't have a choice in the current environment.
Yeah,
you have to compete. And even Sony reps are saying Nintendo, step it up. Shu Yoshida has 2 Wii U's and has said it's competition. It's good for us. Almost like he's subliminally attacking Nintendo's current stance that they're not really competing in Japan. Whereas when you hear things coming from Reggie, he says, yes, they are our competitors. But, a healthy Sony is a healthy Nintendo because it's a healthy ecosystem. And a healthy ecosystem means a healthy gaming environment, and a healthy gaming environment means the Wii U should do well.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really what is at the heart of this, that for whatever reason, Iwata and company, and it's not necessarily all Iwata. Remember, Iwata as president is doing fine as a games developer. If you look at the games that are coming out, the games are fantastic, the games are good, and you also have to keep in mind, the reason that the games have been coming out at a very slow rate is not because of the quality of the games, that they need more time to make them perfect. It's because they've had some major restructuring going on internally, and that from what we are seeing with the way that games on the 3DS have been churned out, we can expect to see that going forward with the Wii U, thanks to some new partnerships, as well as the release schedule going forward. So expect to see a much better year from Nintendo going forward. They just had internal strife.
Yeah, and I'm not blaming Reggie, because as far as NOA is concerned, they are pretty much a satellite company. I mean, all my complaints go directly towards Nintendo of Japan.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, to put it in Star Trek terms, Nintendo is the captain, NOA is the first officer. Nintendo of Japan is Picard, Nintendo of America is Riker. They do
without the beard, though. It's important.
Oh, man. I mean, granted, that's objective. I mean, you could picture him with or without the beard. That's very objective, but you get what I'm saying. The point still stands. Nintendo of America will go where Nintendo of Japan tells them to go. Yeah, listen to the captain of the ship, no matter what. So, basically, I'm not faulting Nintendo of America because they're just being good little foot soldiers and they're doing what they're told. I mean, I commend them for that. But Nintendo of Japan and Iwata, I mean, I will still say that Iwata needs to go, along with all the other people on the board of directors. They really need to get some fresh blood. Heads need to roll. And you wonder why the Western market is rising up and pretty much just beating the crap out of the Japanese market. It's because Japan stayed behind, whereas the Western market rose to the challenge and basically just left Japan in the dust.
Well, also bear in mind, because it's not entirely fair, there also was a language barrier that occurred during the HD transition. Unfortunately, Sony changed their focus onto the Western developers. People don't realize that. Microsoft, they were focused on the West, period. And Sony, they decided we're going to compete with Microsoft in the West after the PS3 ends up not doing well. And that ended up slowing down the documentation. It did hurt Japanese developers. People don't realize this because Cell was a brand new way to code games. And because of that, it ended up leaving Japan, who would have gone on to PS3, in the dust. There also wasn't a big enough adoption rate of the PlayStation 3 because of that price tag. So there's a lot of factors that basically, what I am saying is that the PS3 is what killed Japan. Yes, I am burying Sony here. Triple H style. But in truth it's that you have that in tandem with the fact that without a true successor to the PlayStation 2, of course everyone's gonna flock to handhelds. Of course everyone's gonna flock to mobile, because that's where the developers are. And that's what happens when you don't create the proper documentation for your product. So there is a technical issue at play as well. Excuse me, people don't realize this, but the Japanese, they're not as good at the originality necessarily, but they are darn good at miniaturization and just taking something and then exploiting the living snot out of it. If you don't give them the tools, though, you're up the creek without a paddle. And the fact of the matter is that that's how most studios are here, too. The difference is that there were companies here with ingenuity that were able to get the tools out faster. There's a reason that most of the games that came out this generation were running on Unreal Engine. And it's because they got there first.
Yeah, and I also have to mention this, and I am a huge fan. I'm a subscriber to this gentleman named Razorfist. Now, this guy, to me, he is a genius of what he says. He's friends with Alpha Omega Sin, and I think anyone in the YouTube gaming community knows who Alpha is. But Razorfist talked about this whenever he was talking about, he was pretty much summing up the 7th generation, talking about each console. He was talking about how basically, he ranked his consoles were Wii number 1 because it sold like hotcakes, because it was just a force to be reckoned with. He ranked the Xbox 360 number 2 because Microsoft found their wings this generation, and pretty much they pretty much took the Western market by storm. And he ranked the Sony PS3 in 3rd place because he mentioned this one issue. Basically, Japanese developer arrogance. He compared it to, I think he was comparing it to like JRPGs of the late 90s, that little micro market that sprung up there thanks to the success of Final Fantasy VII. If you wanted to complain to say Squaresoft, now known as Square Enix, at the time back in the late 90s, early 2000s, that these games are declining in quality, Squaresoft would not listen to you. Why? Because they're Squaresoft and they know better than you. So
at the time in the late 90s, they did.
Yeah, they did. Well, they did because they were cranking out stuff left and right. But eventually, all that arrogance caught up with them, and so, and there really wasn't. I mean, the internet isn't like how it was. The internet back then wasn't how it was now. So there,
nowhere near as much input, which is but even then, it's also, bear in mind, 3rd generation arrogance always does that.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Microsoft. The only reason that they were able to about face and didn't go through a Sony situation, or dare I say a Sega situation, is because of Web 2.0. Because of the fact that people are getting online and telling them, Microsoft, stop it, this is stupid. What is wrong with you?
Yes.
If it wasn't for that, they'd be dead. I promise you that.
Well, their gaming division would be dead.
Of course, we're talking about Xbox. We're not talking about Microsoft.
Yeah. So,
They'll keep trying.
And another thing that I want to bring up, I know we're going on for hours, but we're going on for a good solid hour here, but we have a lot to say. Yeah. Another reason why Sony and Microsoft can succeed where Nintendo can't is because Sony and Microsoft are multinational corporations that just so happen to be in video games. They're in a bunch of other industries too. Nintendo, on the other hand, doesn't have that luxury. Nintendo is all video games all the time. Video games is all that they do. So
it also doesn't help that a lot of bridges were burned back in the 90s with the N64, and then once again with the GameCube, and once again with the Wii. Nintendo has a bad habit of doing that with third parties.
Yeah.
Look, to explain. 64, going with cartridges, big mistake. They tried to make up for it with the GameCube by going to optical discs. People were okay with that, but they didn't like the controller. So they abandoned the GameCube. GameCube was left out to dry. Then they did the Wii. Once again, people saw it. They're like, oh great. But it's a weaker console, and it's got this new controller thing. We can't easily port things to it. We're not too happy with that. They got over it once the Wii sold like hotcakes, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll put games on the Wii. But then people didn't buy it because they tried to put lazy games on the Wii. So then
shovelware galore.
So they say screw it, and we end up with the Wii U. The Wii U, the reason this console sucks is because, and I'm not saying I hate the Wii U, I love the Wii U, I'm saying the bad stuff about the Wii U. The reason that is the way is because, one, they listened to the developers who said, we want something like Xbox 360 and PS3. So they went with PowerPC architecture, which the other
is completely different from x86 architecture that the Xbox One and PS4 have.
So Nintendo pretty much once again got screwed over by the quote-unquote partnerships they were building because they basically ended up getting too late to the market.
Yeah, and
nothing can be done.
And some people, granted, I don't hold these sites reputable, but I'm sure if you scour the internet, you could find articles on, say, Destructoid or Game Failers or pretty much, or IGN or any quote-unquote analyst. A lot of people say, I think Michael Pachter said this, and if you know who Michael Pachter is, you know he doesn't know, you know that he's
okay with everything but core games,
yeah,
like the niche core games, and Nintendo consoles.
Yeah, well,
anything related to Nintendo.
Nintendo, he's even suggested that Nintendo just forget about the Wii U and release another console, like right now.
Yeah, Sega hit suicide.
Big mistake. Nintendo, you've made your bed, now you gotta lie in it. You have to make the best out of a very bad situation. But if Nintendo were to release a new console with x86 architecture, 1080p, the works, just like the PS4 and the Xbox One,
it'll still get crushed.
It'll still get crushed. So that it doesn't do anybody any favors there.
Nintendo has succeeded as long as it has. And we're gonna wrap it up here. But Nintendo has succeeded as long as it has because they've always had something to keep them separate from the others, some kind of innovation. And they kind of fumbled this time. That's okay, because Nintendo gets up and they keep trucking. But the fact of the matter is that they're going to have to deal with the Wii U and carry it with strong software like they do every single generation.
Which they will.
Yeah, and they will, because they're Nintendo. That's what they do. They develop good software that justifies the purchase of the console. That's why I have the Wii U. We got the Wii U knowing, you know what? If we get third-party titles, great. If we don't, I don't care. I'm buying it for Nintendo titles. Because even with a quote-unquote underpowered system, Nintendo can still put out a game that you look at and you say that's still pretty from an artistic perspective. Maybe not from a technical perspective, but who cares about the technical? Not everyone is like the technical freaks on NeoGAF who obsess over every little detail. The only thing I will say that I obsess over is 60 FPS. Just give me 60 FPS and I'm happy.
You don't even have to give me that. Just give me solid gameplay and a halfway decent story, and I'm good. Now, granted, if you give me both of them, now we're really talking. But granted, exactly. I will tolerate a bad story over with good gameplay for the most part, unless you're Final Fantasy X. But just give me good gameplay. I could care less if it's 60 frames per second or less than that. Granted, I don't care if it's I don't care if the graphics suck so long as the gameplay is good. Granted, the graphics could be nicer, but so long as the gameplay is good, you have something to work with here. You have me drawn in, and it's your job to keep me playing.
Alright, so, that being said, that concludes our thoughts on gaming for the week, or month, I should say.
Side note, ladies and gentlemen, we'll try to get these out on a regular basis, like once every month or so.
Hopefully. But I digress. Those are our thoughts on gaming. What do you guys think? Leave thoughts and comments down below. And stay tuned. We're going to talk about sports and the upcoming year next here on the MAVcast.
Welcome back, ladies and germs. Welcome back to the MAVcast, and this is our sports section where we talk about what else? Sports, college, pro, combat sports, anything that we want to talk about. We'll also talk about, and I didn't mention this in our break, Twily, I'm sorry, we'll also talk about
sports entertainment.
Well, we did talk about that during the break, but how I am now a fan of a sport that I swore I would never become a fan of, and that would be soccer.
Say that again.
I am now a fan of soccer. Don't get excited, though. Don't get
music.
excited about it, though, because whenever I say soccer, I mean MLS and only MLS.
For shame, you're missing the best the world has to offer.
I'm sure I am, but the thing is, you know how much of a nationalist I am. You know how I'm all about America.
As long as your butt's in the seat for World Cup, it's all good.
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously, yes, but, I mean, that's the reason why I can't get into an EPL team as of now, is because I really don't have an interest in anything outside of the United States of America. Not even Canada gets that billing, I'm sorry. But anyway, so, we'll talk about how my new team, Sporting KC, won the MLS Cup against Real Salt Lake, so that's something I want to talk about, so yay. So I will talk about how I became a fan of soccer, or football, as the Euros like to call it. Okay, so what should we start out with first?
Well, let's get. Well, you got me excited about your soccer story. Let's go ahead and start with that. How did you get into MLS? That's my question.
Okay, story time. For those of you who don't know, I'm American, and you know that here in the good old US of A, soccer really hasn't been it's been good. Well,
no,
maybe not.
Well,
it's
objectively,
it hasn't been as good as,
but it's okay. I mean,
long story short, and to put it bluntly, Americans don't care about soccer.
Yep.
They still don't, but it's getting better.
Yes.
I promise you this. And granted, give the MLS a couple, maybe 1, 2, possibly 3 more decades before it rivals up with the EPL. Because,
still be more respected though.
Yeah, I mean, MLS has only been around since 1996, and the teams over in jolly old England and throughout Europe have been playing football, European style football for about 1896, that sort of thing. Come on, cut us a little bit of slack. Okay, so anyway, Sporting KC took home the MLS Cup this semester. Oh my God, I'm still in school mode.
Man.
Yeah, so, we took, it's year. So, Sporting KC, we won the MLS Cup, this year against Real Salt Lake. And for most of the game, Real Salt Lake actually dominated play. I mean, they were getting those scoring chances, pretty much all game long. In fact, they actually took, I want to say, a 2-goal lead. No, they were up 2-1. Somehow, some way, we managed to come back and tie the game. And then, it goes to PKs, penalty kicks, for those of you who don't know. I think it took like 10 rounds to decide, and it's possibly the most exciting play in soccer as opposed to a breakaway, as I know it, because I watch a lot of ice hockey. So it goes to PKs, Sporting KC wins. Oh my gosh, I was so happy whenever, we won. Because I actually watched that game. Oh my God. I finally get it now, why this is so popular. Yes. Granted, I mean, it's still not going to be as good as EPL or Serie A or wherever you want to, or over in Europe, across the pond. It's not going to be as good. Go ahead.
Get down south.
Okay, yes, Mexico too, and Brazil and all that, all that happy horse crap. Okay, so it's not going to be that good, but hey, for an American who wants to get into soccer, and you want to just stay in your own country, the MLS, you could do a lot worse.
A lot worse, definitely. I like myself some MLS. Haven't been able to keep up, unfortunately. This is going to be a trend here. TL doesn't keep up with sports like he should. But no, I actually have I actually have 2 MLS teams. One by birth, one by adoption. By birth, I'm a Dynamo fan, but by adoption, I actually got into MLS when I was out in Colorado, so Colorado Rapids are also my team, and because of that,
are they still called?
So what?
Are they still called the Rapids? Because I know that MLS
still are. card. Let me double check.
Yeah, I know that MLS is going through, how should I put this? European style naming, so you get names like DC United or Sporting KC or Real Salt Lake.
Most of those were done a while back. I know a lot of different teams are trying to move away from that, but some of them, like the Rapids and the Dynamo, have stuck with that traditional sports team naming structure. Yeah,
because Sporting KC used to be the Kansas City Wiz, and then they went to Kansas City Wizards, and now the Sporting KC. Right. And and for those of you who don't know, and I'm sure most of you don't know, I was never a huge soccer fan. In fact, I made fun of soccer. I still make fun of soccer, but I will be less harsh about it. But mainly because, for one thing, not a whole lot of offense, and just the other crap that goes along with being soccer fans. You know, blood and urine bombs, riots, the whole stuff that doesn't happen as often as people, it doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, it's really stupid. So we have to get rid of the riots. We have to get rid of that stupid stuff.
That's all in the UK. Nothing you can do about it. It's in their blood.
Yeah, but if you want soccer to be more respected here in the United States, you need to stop doing that. Granted, we're not perfect here, but still, I don't think anyone is no one's going to riot after they lose. You have to go up north to Canada, to Vancouver for that. But okay.
Anyways.
So that's my beginnings, my foray into the world of MLS soccer, and hopefully it will be a good one, because hey, I watched the game. It was a good game. I can't wait for next season.
And hopefully it'll eventually get to the point where you grow up and pick a Premier League team like Arsenal. Hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Share shot to the head, and with that we can segue.
Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Okay.
Ding, ding.
Business is about to pick up here. In case you couldn't tell, ladies and gentlemen, we're segueing to the wonderful world of professional wrestling.
Of course. Wrestling rumors.
Yep, and I need to get the article back up on here for WrestleMania 30 rumors, scuttlebutt, and innuendo.
Of course. So obviously, as you guys know, we got the Royal Rumble coming up, and we don't really know much about that card other than Orton's going to fight Cena, and whoever wins the Rumble, as always, will end up being in the main event of WrestleMania with the belt. Although, if Cena doesn't have the belt, it's not the main event, by the way. Vince McMahon has made that clear. The man that puts the food on the table.
Yeah, well, like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, I don't like Cena either, but hey, that's business.
Yep, you can't argue with that. I mean, the man is still the top draw, so I suppose we'll have to just suck it up and deal with it no matter how much we want the belt to be the main event, although we can take hope and refuge in the fact that Triple H believes the belt should always be the main event, even when the match before you really should have been, it's the belt, deal with it.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we got a set of rumors coming up, and that they have a major impact on the Royal Rumble, because apparently, as people have found out, Batista is coming back to the WWE, and will probably be in the Royal Rumble. If he is, there are rumors right now that he is going to be doing a program with Randy Orton. If Randy Orton keeps the strap,
and he most likely will,
I don't buy. I believe that he will not be keeping the strap at the Royal Rumble. Batista will not be winning. If he keeps it, he will. If Randy Orton has the belt, then Batista will win the Rumble, and they will be the title match for WrestleMania.
Yeah, it would be pretty much be like a coming home story for Evolution back in 2003, 2004.
But if that doesn't happen, which, because of the way things have been with Randy as champion, especially with buy rates, I really don't foresee that happening, because, again, both TLC and the past two pay-per-views, Battleground and Hell in a Cell, had Randy Orton as the main draw with Daniel Bryan. Obviously, Daniel Bryan is the most overman in this company, so it's not him.
Yeah, well, Well, the thing is, and WWE have done themselves no favors with all the screw job finishes for the last 2, 3, 4 pay-per-views that they've done.
Absolutely.
They have not done themselves any favors with that, and that's the reason why no one bought Battlegrounds. That's the reason why nobody bought the last pay-per-view. What was it again?
TLC.
Yeah, I know.
No one bought TLC because one. Well, first of all, Daniel Bryan wasn't even in the big match.
Yeah.
Which is why they didn't buy the last pay-per-view that had him, Hell in a Cell. They didn't buy it because they knew, he's just gonna get screwed again. No, forget even
he's just
that.
He's gonna get dumped on.
They didn't buy this last one because it was John Cena and Randall Keith Orton.
For the 573rd time.
For the belt. For the 13th time. This is the 13th match they've had with the friggin' belt. We're done with them. We've seen this match. We're tired of this match.
And a lot of people...
some blood.
Yeah, and a lot of people are saying, they haven't wrestled for the title in 3 or 4 years. It doesn't matter. I was actually going through, like the history files. Randy Orton, back in 2007 was WWE champion around this time, and he was WWE champion again in 2010 around this time. For the love of God, they need new blood at the top.
Yeah, well, it's been 10 years of Cena, like they like to so arrogantly flaunt in front of us, so, yeah, I say it's time for some new people to dump.
Yeah, I mean,
digress. I mean, we could go on that one. What's really important is some of the other stuff that's going around. Triple
and I also want to talk,
is going to have a match possibly with CM Punk.
Which that would be good, because that'll jumpstart, or actually that'll put like new. How should I put this? Give a good injection of like dopamine into the storyline, into the Authority angle.
Yeah, the Authority angle has just been dragging on, and really it's too bad because in theory it should work, but the problem is that when it's Triple H basically screwing over Daniel Bryan every week, and now screwing CM Punk over every week, it just doesn't work. Hopefully, this means that we're going to be seeing CM Punk and Triple H doing the return of Austin McMahon. If that's what we're getting, thank you very much, but I don't see that happening.
I don't see that happening either, and plus, you can try to bring that angle back, but it's never going to be as good. That was a once-in-a-lifetime thing.
The other thing is that, I mean, I guess this is supposed to be Triple H's way of saying sorry for screwing up your push in 2011, but I ain't cutting it.
You think that Triple H is going to apologize to anyone?
Well, you never know. It is Triple H. He's not the burial king that everyone thinks he is. As far as he's concerned, he'd rather be in Gorilla, and he's gone on record for that. Well, I'm sure he would instead of being. Well,
once Vince is out of the picture, he'll get his dream job. I mean, this is the same guy that's probably. I still believe this. He's still bitter about the curtain call in '96. I mean, my God, let it go, Hunter.
Vince.
Yeah, but anyway. So I also want to talk about, not to go back to TLC.
Of course.
I want to talk about that title unification match. Not so much the match itself, but the fact they finally unified the title, and how WWE is saying that Randy Orton is the first ever WWE World Heavyweight Champion. Guys, Chris Jericho would, I believe Chris Jericho would like a word with you. But then again, to quote Salamonster,
both belts.
Yeah, to quote Salamonster, that's one of the things that you're not supposed to know as a fan. That and you're not supposed to know that Undertaker went to his American Badass gimmick back in 2000 to 2002. Yeah, you're not supposed to know that. So that's my issue. I mean, the match itself, it was okay. I wouldn't really put it. It was on par for your average SmackDown match. But my problem with this is why would you unify the title at TLC?
Well, why? Because you have to get it out of the way.
No, but here's the thing: you could have kept the titles separate. I mean, you could have thrown anyone else in there. I mean, why would you unify this at a B show? And that's what TLC is. It's a B show.
I do agree with you on all of that. But remember, and this is what he was going through. This is nothing more than the fans' fault, because they did not intend to have a decent finish. What they were really going to do was put the WWE Championship on Cena and put the World Heavyweight Championship on Orton. It was not supposed to be a unification match. It was supposed to be, we're gonna swap the titles, and it was going to basically be a way to fumble their misstep with making Orton the guy. Mm-hmm. What happened was fans were saying, "Oh no, we want to see a unification match," so they gave us a unification match.
But, I've been asking for unification for years because ever since the brand extension went away, you basically had two championships, two top guys, quote unquote, and two championships when there really was no need.
It's really a top guy and then a number two.
Yeah.
It's number one and number two.
It's like, I'm happy that you unified the titles, but at the same time, you couldn't hold this up till WrestleMania. We've waited for years after the brand extension left. What's another couple of months?
Yeah. Well, the thing is that it would have been, but at the same time, let me ask you, do you really want John Cena and Randy Orton main eventing WrestleMania in a unification title match?
I mean, granted, I would like to see CM Punk and Daniel Bryan main event them, but, I mean, it's a title unification. It's a big deal. I would still pay to see that.
I agree.
But yeah, I mean,
again, that being said, I still have to throw it out there because honestly, I was excited for the unification until the idea of unification until they said it's going to be Cena and Norton again, and now I'm like, forget it. I'm just so done with Cena and Norton, and it's because those two don't have ring chemistry. I mean, they just don't.
They do not. I mean,
they
if CM
wrestle,
Punk,
but they can't wrestle with each other. It's
if CM Punk can actually bring out the best in John Cena, you know you got problems.
Well, CM Punk brings out the best in John Cena because they have ring chemistry.
Yeah,
they really do work perfectly together.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I digress. The other big stuff that's coming around. It doesn't sound like they got anything set for Cena. They might feed the Wyatts to him, feed Bray Wyatt to him.
Yeah.
But they've got nothing. Taker versus Lesnar is still a lock, like it's been for forever. That's gonna happen. Yeah. They're throwing around possibly Big E Langston versus Roman Reigns.
Ooh. Oh yes. I mean, Roman Reigns, that guy has future WWE World Heavyweight Champion written all over him.
Absolutely. I mean, the guy, have you seen that guy's spear?
Oh my gosh.
Suicide. I love it.
I haven't seen a spear that devastating since Bill Goldberg, and I'm not kidding at all. Yeah. Edge wishes he could spear that hard.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, it's so good. And then they're adding a Superman punch to him. I mean, it's really funny.
Yeah, I mean, it is Roman Reigns. He is definitely the shining star of the Shield.
I'm impressed with Reigns and his recent upgrade in his in-ring work. He's very good. He's got the future. He's a future main eventer, no doubt. I still feel that the one that's going to have more longevity is Dean Ambrose. As
a heel, yes,
but Reigns. He's going to be a good face. I don't think he's going to run too well as a heel for much longer. I think it's time to break up the Shield soon, have Reigns be a face, Ambrose will be fine as a heel, and he can be a face as well. He seems like the kind of guy that can jump between the two. He seems to do the Orton thing much better than Orton.
Yeah, the only problem...
The only one that I'm concerned about is Seth Rollins, but at the same time...
Exactly.
He was NXT champion. He pulled it off there. He's still one of the best workers. Just the fact that he's able to go out there and practically attempt suicide every night and survive every night tells you there's...
Well, he was NXT champion, but then again, so is Bo Dallas, so there you go.
Bo Dallas. I mean, that's a different can of worms that we'll wait for another day.
But
have you been watching NXT?
Actually, believe it or not, whenever I'm playing with my 3DS, oh crap, there goes the Circle Pet Pro. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, if you heard that crashing noise. I actually got Hulu Plus set up on my 3DS, and I was going through a lot of the granted, I didn't watch the entire of all the episodes in one day. God, that would be impossible. Yeah, but I have been watching a couple episodes from the past several weeks. Oh my gosh, I have been missing out.
Yeah, it's the best wrestling program out there. It really is. And
it is.
And that is
I'm loving
H's thing. He's Vince on NXT.
Yeah, he pretty much is.
He just lets, he lets Dusty do the booking. And he says, do it. And you can tell, especially the affinity of tag teams over NXT. Just reeks of Triple H's, marking out for 80s wrestling.
And I mean, Triple H, I mean, you and I have had our differences in the past. I still think you were never the guy, even whenever your reign of terror, as I like to refer to it, back from 2002 to 2004, you were still never the, quote, top guy. You were always riding on Shawn Michaels' coattails and DX. I mean, you were the guy that worked with the guy that drew the money. I'm sorry, Triple H, that's just how I see it. And I do think that you marrying it into the family did have some, is one of the main reasons why you are in the position you are now. But I have to say, with NXT, I am impressed. I still like you, but at the same time, you are very much overrated. But, so that felt so, yeah.
Okay,
yes.
Anyways.
So after my gushing over NXT, so I'm starting to watch that now. I mean, I've been really impressed.
Yeah. Let's get back to Mania. Real quick, before we then divert to other sports. And then
can I say one more thing about, can I say a couple more things about NXT? I'm not that Summer Rae, I really like her. She's good looking, and I think she could be good, called up. Maybe not so much as a wrestler, but I like her commentary because I was watching the recap show.
Summer is currently the escort for Fandango. So, and she's doing good there. She's doing okay.
Yeah, she's doing good there. My mystery guy that I think his name is Aiden English.
Yeah.
He's the guy. Yeah, he's the one that sings after all his matches.
English is hilarious.
Dude, get him to the main roster now. I want him.
A little more ring work, but he's good.
Yeah, I love that guy. He is so awesome, and he's a really good singer. I mean, I think he missed his calling in life. I don't know what the heck he's doing wrestling. He should be a singer.
Anyways, so in terms of wrestlers in NXT, before we get back to Mania, because there's actually one big one we need to talk about still.
Yeah.
But in terms of NXT, for my money, Sami Zayn.
Oh yes,
Enzo Amore.
Yes.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
Soft.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say. And
soft.
Oh my gosh, the women on NXT are so good in the ring. It is ridiculous. Emma, Paige, who's currently the champion. Paige is so good. And Bailey.
I mean, didn't they? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but wasn't there a recent heel turn to the? I mean, what do they call themselves? The BFFs, the Beautiful Fierce Females, or whatever they call them.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, because granted, I get all my NXT information from the Sala Monster. I love his podcast, so I've been listening to his stuff, and they were talking about NXT. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll watch NXT, and yes, I'm officially a fan of NXT now.
On the best hour of wrestling every week.
Yeah, every freaking week.
Every week. So, anyways, that's NXT. If you're not watching NXT, it's on Hulu. And it actually does air internationally. Check your local listings if you're outside the U.S., particularly if you're in Canada, because they do actually air it over the air out there. Anyways, so here's the big deal with WrestleMania. We haven't talked about it, because this is the real big question. From all the plans, we have heard absolutely nothing about what they're going to do with Daniel Bryan. Obviously, he's the favorite going in to win the Rumble. Everyone assumes this. He's going to end up in the Royal Rumble. He's going to be number one. He's going to win, is what everyone's assuming. And that was my mentality before this idea started floating around. And I'm still kind of skeptical of it in some ways. I know that you, Drew, are absolutely skeptical of it.
I'll believe it when I see it, but I think they missed their opportunity with it.
Supposedly, and they've been very quiet about this, they're denying it even being a possibility internally, and the friends aren't even talking about it. They're all saying, no, it'll never happen. But it could all be one elaborate work to cover up what could possibly be the greatest main event of all time, the biggest spectacle that you will ever see in a WrestleMania. And the thing is that if it wasn't for the fact, I would normally say there's no way it's going to happen if they said there were any plans for Daniel Bryan. But there, so far, have been literally no plans for Daniel, outside of the possibility that they've thrown around. And they've been trying to court the guy to come out of retirement for one final match, this time for real, just to pass on to his protege, Shawn Michaels versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania 30. Student
versus the Master.
Versus the Master. Literally passing on the title of Mr. WrestleMania, of the showstopper.
No. That stays with Shawn.
You know what I mean.
That stays with Shawn. I mean,
not that he would lose it, but giving him the blessing to take over.
Yes. I am very skeptical about this. I don't think it's going to happen. It would be nice. I mean, it does give me an idea for what I need to do with WWE 2K14 once I actually get that game. But I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, they blew their opportunity at the Slammy Awards because whenever Shawn Michaels was doing his announcing gig, and I forget what the award was, but Daniel Bryan won it.
Superstar
of the Year, and they had that little animosity towards one another.
Well, Shawn kind of just sculled away after being 1997 Shawn, of course.
Yes. So basically, I think they blew their opportunity. If anything was going to happen between those two, that was the moment to have it happen.
Actually, I tend to differ, and this is why. Because you want to throw him in the Rumble. You need to make it clear that there's only very slight hints that could happen going in. And they've kind of done that. They've been kind of building a little bit of heat. But what you would do is during the Rumble, you would have Shawn come out. And you would have him be the reason that Daniel does not go over. This is how you get someone else to win the Royal Rumble. I.e. CM Punk. Or possibly Batista. Or Bautista. Either of those two. I'm assuming one of those two are going to win.
Yes.
You would basically have to have Daniel get pulled out by Shawn.
Yes.
That's how you would launch it. That would be the way to do it. And the thing is that, because that would only leave one pay-per-view in between, and it's the Extreme one, the Elimination Chamber, guess what? You can have Shawn and Daniel do their thing and not be in the ring together until the big event.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you would wait to pull the trigger till then.
Yeah, I mean, I do see your logic, but at the same time, I think it is just a fantasy at this point.
It is.
Granted, if it does happen, I would be the most excited person in the world, because it's Daniel Bryan and Shawn Michaels, one of my favorites right now versus one of my all-time favorites. Even though I don't like it, I'm not a fan of Shawn Michaels' backstage stuff back whenever he was pilled out on every drug known to man, that sort of thing. And come on, the assless chaps, really.
You're gonna harp on the assless chaps, really, dude?
Yes, I am. He was just not that. He wasn't the quote my kind of champion. A lot of guys aren't going to do that. He could work his ass off in the ring, but I don't think he was that good of a draw as everyone says he was. And I know because I watched it.
To each their own.
Yeah. But anyway, I think that would be a great match. Because I can disagree with Shawn Michaels' backstage personality all I want, but the guy is without a question the greatest in-ring performer of all time.
Absolutely.
Now he's not the greatest of all time in my opinion, because great ring work it doesn't make you the best of all time. In my opinion, it's Stone Cold Steve Austin, but even Stone Cold would disagree with me there because he thinks Ric Flair's the greatest, and it's hard to argue with that claim too.
Well, to me, Shawn is the whole package. To me, and that, to each your own. I can respect making Austin your favorite. I can respect Ric Flair as your favorite. It all comes down to personal opinion and which character resonated with you.
Yeah, I mean, it's wrestling, people.
It's wrestling,
come on.
But when it's all said and done, it's fake sport.
Yeah. No, it's scripted.
Scripted. I take it back.
Yeah.
Scripted.
Yeah. It's like, don't use Aikfei.
Yeah. Well, technically it is a fake sport in the sense that it's a fake sport, but it is still an athletic event.
If it was fake, no one would get hurt.
This is also true.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and leave our humble love of pro wrestling, which we will talk more about in the future, of course.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
And talk about some combat sports.
Yeah, let's talk about enough with the scripted stuff. Let's get to the real fights.
Now, by the time you're hearing this probably has already aired.
Yeah, this is already aired, but we're gonna make our predictions right now. UFC 168, live from, I believe, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm not sure if it's at Mandalay Bay or not.
But I assume it is. There's no way it's not.
Yeah, because they might move around.
Grand.
Yeah, the MGM Grand.
Unless it's there. So, let me double check that. While we talk about it, let's just focus, for time's sake, we're just gonna focus on the main card.
Nothing for the undercard, although those undercard fights are really good too.
Grand.
Yep, it's at the Grand. Okay. Oh. So the main card here for UFC 168, we'll get to the main event, people. Hold on. Alright, so, at live, depending on where you are, we're both in the central time zone, so it's gonna be at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time was when it's gonna kick off. Although the prelims start before that, they start an hour before the fight, so 7 p.m. is when the prelims start. Alright, so first up on the card, I'm just gonna start from the bottom of the main card and work my way up to the main event. So we are going to have, I'm gonna butcher this guy's last name.
Dustin Poirier.
It's either Poirier or Poirier. Dustin the Diamond Poirier, versus Diego Brandao, and so gonna be honest with you here. I'm gonna admit my ignorance. I've never heard of these guys.
I'm with you. What weight class are they in again?
Oh my gosh.
Probably why, and that's not to dash on the lower weight divisions.
Yeah, they look like
145.
So they look like lightweights, maybe a little.
Look, I'm all about the lower weight divisions. I really am. They have some of the best fights.
Yeah.
But I don't know names.
I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but I have never heard of either of these guys, so we can't really commentate on them.
We can look at the stats and we can say that Brandao.
Brandau's 22-8, 41% of his wins coming by knockout or TKO. Dustin Poirier is sporting a very respectable 14-3 record. So this is actually, I think that's going to be a really good fight.
Yeah,
I mean, if their records say anything.
Fight. It looks like it is going to be, just based off of the stats, I'd say, I'd give it to Brandao based off of these stats, but again, we don't know for sure. We just have to wait and see. The only thing I'd say is that Poirier's got that 2-inch height advantage, but otherwise it looks like it's going to be a good fight, and I think Diego's going to pull out.
I'm going to have to agree with that. Moving on, we have Jim Miller versus Fabricio, whatever the heck his nickname is, Camoes. Fabricio Morongo Camoes, or however you pronounce your last name. Again, admitting ignorance, don't know much about these two guys. I just know that based off these stats, Jim Miller sporting a 22-4 record with one no contest. Fabricio is sporting a 14-7 record with one no contest. And these look heavier weight class, so 155 weight. Well, I'm gonna have to go with Miller here, mainly because of his record speaks for himself. 7 losses, that's kind of
You
7 losses.
Make up for that, but at the same time, when you're going up a guy that's 22 wins, 4 losses, 1 no contest, it's an uphill battle. And I don't know, I haven't seen any of these guys' stuff recently, but I don't know, I feel like this is a Miller.
And Miller, granted, Fabricio has a 2-inch reach advantage. Both are same weight class, obviously. Both at 155. And I want to say that, Miller's more accurate with his punches, attempted takedowns. Usually, that's virtually the same. Defense, advantage Miller with 64.17% to Fabricio's 58.1. Excuse me, I misspoke earlier. Takedown average per fight, you have to give that to Fabricio, with 2.77 to Miller's, 1.97. So, basically, look for this to stay on on their feet. Don't expect them to go to the ground, all that much, but hey, who knows. Alright. Moving on, we have Josh Barnett versus Travis Hoppa Brown, and Finally, two guys I've actually seen fight. So Travis Hoppa Brown, sporting a 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 no contest, versus the much more experienced Josh, the War Master Barnett, who has 33 wins, staggering, 6 losses, 0 no contests. Travis Hoppa Brown, 73% of his wins come from knockout or TKO. So hint, hint, he's not look for this fight to stay up.
Match.
Yeah, this is a strikers match. Yeah, no wrestling in this match, that's for sure. Based on what I've seen Hoppa do, I'm gonna have to go with Brown on this one.
Yeah, well, from what I'm looking at the stats, I think that experience is really gonna help Josh, so I think we'll disagree on this one. Just looking at the accuracy stats in particular, because they seem to be able to land about the same average, and the only thing that does work against Josh is that height. That height is going to be a little bit of a pain, but at the same time, Josh's defense does seem to be better. So again, probably don't expect to see a lot on the ground from this one. It's going to be mostly on the feet. So looks like a good match though.
Yeah, and if Barnett decides to shoot on Brown here, Brown has a 100% takedown defense. So I don't think if there is a takedown by Brown, Travis is going to if there's a takedown by Barnett, Travis Brown's going to defend that well. Okay. Oh,
we've all been waiting for.
Oh yes. All right. The co-main event of the evening: Rowdy Ronda Rousey versus Miesha Tate. Cupcake. Okay, Miesha, you need a new nickname.
That's
all right.
What we've been waiting for.
Well, hey, maybe you haven't been, but I have. I've seen these gals talk trash to one another in the Ultimate Fighter. As anyone that's been following this season, these were the coaches, and basically Ronda Rousey doesn't take crap from anyone, not even Miesha Tate. I remember this one episode, as well as everyone does who watches it. They were doing the rock climbing wall, and Ronda Rousey beat Miesha Tate to the top. And while they were descending down, Ronda Rousey just gave Miesha the finger all the way down. I'm like, I love you, Ronda. So basically, tail of the tape between these two, Ronda Rousey is undefeated, 7-0, whereas Miesha Tate has more experience at 13-4. Ronda Rousey definitely a submission specialist because she hasn't won any of her fights by KO or TKO, whereas Miesha Tate wins 23% of her fights that way. And decisions, 31% of the decision win. Actually, hold on. My glasses are really out of date. I'm sorry, folks. My eyes are crap. Submissions actually do well in Ronda Rousey's favor because she wins all her fights that way.
That armbar, you can't argue with it.
Oh my gosh, that is just devastating.
So, when we look at everything, though, when you look and stat it out, it's no contest. Of course, it's Rousey's got the advantage.
Yeah,
I mean,
Rousey is definitely going to win this fight. I'm calling it right now. That's my stone cold lock. All right, so only question is what round it's going to take place in. I'm going to say, let's go with round 2.
I'll go with that one as well. Round 2, Rousey. That being said, it looks like it could be a very interesting fight, particularly since Tate does have some pretty decent experience with outside of the submission, but who knows? We'll see.
Yeah.
It's so Rousey's though. I mean, it's yeah.
Yeah, it's not even funny. I mean, these two have been wanting to get after one another since the season started. So so all that season of pent up frustration. I'm thinking we're going to see a good one, folks. All right, and now the moment that everyone's been waiting for, not just me, is the rematch from back in July. Chris Weidman, the All-American Chris Weidman versus Anderson the Spider Silva for the middleweight.
Correctly, when this was happening the first time, what did I say?
You said that Chris Weidman was going to win, and you were correct. Yeah, you were correct, but
there is a caveat, and even I'm going to admit it.
Yeah, Silva was clowning the entire time, and whenever you do that, you get caught, and you lose. So I pretty much had to eat my words. Thanks a lot, Silva. So basically, oh man, this is going to be a tough one because my heart is telling me, because believe it or not, the guy who I want to win, and the guy that I think is going to win, two different people.
Uh-huh.
I think that Anderson Silva is going to because after losing that strap, I think Anderson Silva is going to has doubled his efforts. He's focused more than anything because whenever you lose that belt, the only thing you think about, it's an obsession. You want to get it back. Mm-hmm. So I think that Anderson Silva is going to cut out the clowning, cut out the silliness, and I think he's going to come into the arena looking to take care of business.
He wants it back.
Yeah, and I think he will win by knockout in round number 3. However, that being said, Chris Weidman, he's the champion for a reason. He's got the belt
for a reason.
Yeah, he's undefeated for a reason. Thank you for bringing that out. I do think that he has the championship belt for a reason, and I think it's his first title defense, and he's going up against a guy that really wants his belt back. So this is going to be a good no matter who you pick. I think Anderson Silva is going to win it. However, I want Chris Weidman to win it, if that makes any sense at all.
I agree. I don't know. I do feel like Chris is going to defend. I know realistically I should be saying Silva, but I know I should. But the thing is that when you look at it, this is a game that's going to, once again, unlike last time, it's going to rely on the ground game. Weidman defends really well.
Silva's yes, he does.
Striker, but Weidman is such a good wrestler that I really hope we see more ground game this go around, because we didn't get that last time. We didn't get to see Weidman in his zone. We ended up seeing Weidman catch Silva off guard and thus get the big goal, the goal. And while that was a beautiful thing and the end of an era, in some ways, because now the Spiders had to go back and reload and refocus. I still feel like this is something, I feel like Chris, there's a lot of pressure on him, but I think he can rise to the occasion. And that's just me.
Yeah.
That's just what
I hope he does. I mean, the guy proved me wrong he proved the entire world wrong, because he didn't have a friend in sight whenever he fought Silva the first time. And lo and behold, he proved me wrong, proved all my friends wrong, because we all picked Silva to win. And, so like I said, he's the champ for a reason.
I mean, even my MMA buff friends were like, particularly one in particular, my friend Tanner, he was like, dude, there's no way. I want him to win, but there's no way. And then it happened, I said, did you see that?
Yes. Oh, I mean, I was still in shock whenever Weidman won back in July.
Amazing.
So I do think that Silva wins going away. I think, but I want Chris Weidman to win. But hey, maybe Chris Weidman will prove me wrong yet again. I want Weidman to win, but I think Silva is going to win this time because he's not going to clown. He's going to come back refocused. He wants that belt back. But and another deterring factor here, Silva ain't getting any younger. I mean, he's up there in age. I mean, he's almost 40. He's in his late 30s right now. I mean, who knows how much longer this guy has left in the tank.
A can.
Yeah. So, I mean, it might be time, because I'm going to say this right now. If Weidman does win, Silva's done.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
It's Silva. Yeah. It's time for him. If he loses to Weidman, he needs to walk away and needs to start training up the new generation. That's my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there.
And
so
that's with the utmost respect to the Spider, because the man is a legend.
Yes. My only criticism with the Spider, not his fighting ability, but he always stayed in the middleweight division.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have loved to have seen him fight at a heavier weight class. And that's pretty much one of the reasons why, I mean, he's not my personal favorite of all time, but he's up there. Absolutely. Like he's definitely in my top 10, probably top 5. But
easily. All right. Well, we have gone on and on and on in this particular segment.
Yes.
Because we covered so much. But before we go, let's go ahead and talk about one last thing, and that would be the death of BCS.
Yes.
We can touch very quickly on the championship, which I don't know much about because I've been too busy to even keep up with freaking football, which is terrible because this is college ball. This is the football I care about. Auburn State versus Florida. I mean, Auburn versus Florida State.
Auburn. You just said Auburn State. Oh
man,
my
that
gosh.
was bad. Okay. Auburn versus Florida State. And last but not least, of course, we're going to talk about my inability to have coaches. We'll talk about that right when we come back. Stay tuned, and we'll talk about our New Year plans very shortly. Thanks for hanging there with us, guys, and we'll be back shortly. And we are back, folks, and we're going to wrap up our sports discussion real quick before we dive into the plans for New Year. We said we were done with wrestling, but there's one last thing that we totally missed on the agenda, and that is Dolph Ziggler.
My apologies, everybody. I was trying to, we had so much to talk about, I just kind of forgot to mention this, but I was watching Raw this past Monday, the Monday before Christmas, and something, it dawned on me. It was a bad realization, and it made my heart sink whenever I was watching Dolph Ziggler wrestle Fandango
on a pole match, and I was there, and it was terrible. And it was Ziggler's fault. It's just a terrible stipulation.
Yeah, Russo was probably smiling the whole time. So anyway, it was a Christmas present. It was a Christmas present on a pole match, which first of all, on a pole matches are stupid, and second, why would they announce it over the PA system? What the heck the gift was? Let them unwrap it first and let them find out that way. Well, I know how it goes, and plus, it really doesn't matter because it's the IC title anyway, and as we all know, that belt is useless. But I digress. My point that I'm trying to make here, ladies and gentlemen, is Dolph Ziggler, after jobbing to Fandango, and I love the guy personally. I love the guy.
He's a great talent. This is the same guy that had the World Heavyweight Championship cash-in at Raw After Mania, the greatest wrestling event of the year.
Yes.
But it's true, and I'm a Ziggler mark here.
Yeah, Ziggler
he needs a repackage.
And I'm gonna go one step further, and I know that you're gonna disagree along with all the other Ziggler marks. And I am a Ziggler mark too, guys. Ziggler does not have it. Quotation marks. He's not a main event caliber player, at least not now. He needs to get his character worked on. I suggest maybe harder edge Ziggler. I'm not talking about him coming down with a steel chair and busting people open left and right. No, but he needs to have a harder edge. He needs to work on his promos. But then again, that's not so much his fault. Well, some of the responsibility lies with him. But WWE needs to give him the mic some more. His wrestling ability is fine. When he took that nasty looking bump off the steel steps during that match, I cringed. I was like, oh god.
It was even worse in person. You're like, because the thing is that the angle, you don't really see it on TV, but from where we were sitting, yeah, he pretty much took that head on. That was a head spike into the steps.
Yeah, and me and my dad were watching Raw together, and he said, notice how they're not showing him. He could be really hurt. Thankfully, he wasn't. But that just goes back to his amazing in-ring work ability.
Rubbing his hand on his head.
Yeah. So my point is, Ziggler needs to get a harder edge on his character, and on a business standpoint, who the heck's designing his merchandise? Seriously, they really need to start rolling out some new merchandise, because I don't know about how you feel about this, Twiley, but no self-respecting age 18 to 34-year-old male who WWE is trying to market to as their prime demographic. I don't know any guy that is going to be wearing a turquoise blue or a bright pink shirt that says show off on it. It
takes a very special kind of individual to be able to get away with Dolph Ziggler merchandise. My younger brother, who is 18, is one of the few that can rock that stuff.
Yeah.
The fact of the matter is you have to have a certain personality to wear the Dolph stuff. The fact of the matter is that those of us that are huge Ziggler marks, for the most part, cannot.
We can't pull it off.
I can't pull it off. My brother can, but I can't. I have to be, in order for me to wear wrestling merch, it has to be something that looks too cool for its own good. And it makes me look like a bigger dork, but I don't care. Give me my CM Punk gear. Give me the Daniel Bryan gear. I'm cool with it. I can't do Ziggler. My brother can do Ziggler. That's cool. I love Ziggler. I can even get away with the pink. The pink's fine. Just put something else on there.
I mean,
the pink and the zebra, they're just not working. The zebra worked with the turquoise, but not everyone can rock the turquoise.
Yeah. I mean, I really do wish Dolph well. I really want him to do well. I want him to be in the main event badly. I want him to be up there with CM Punk and Daniel O'Brien, but the problem is he doesn't have the he doesn't have the it factor, at least not yet. Roman Reigns, it factor, out the wazoo. Not so much with Dolph Ziggler, and it pains me to say that.
Has more it factor right now.
Yes, and that's saying something, because Dean Ambrose is great, and I'm going to have to segue this into, since they unified the main titles, they need to unify the IC and US titles, because when's the last time you've seen Dean Ambrose defend the US title?
I keep hearing that, and I think it's a mistake, and the reason is because then what else are you going to do with your lower talent? They need more lower talent belts, in my opinion. That's what they need. More, not less. Because they're already not worth enough.
Well, start by unifying the title, and then we'll talk. I mean, granted, they don't care about WCW's legacy. They never have. So just unify the title, get rid of the US title, have one IC title, just have one tag team title team thing, and just have those belts and the Diva belt, but that no one cares about.
Yeah,
so just have.
Not yet. When the NXT girls get up there, maybe we will.
Yeah, so anyway, I just had to bring that up because that was eating away at me the past week.
Yeah, it is true. He needs to repackage. He needs to go away for a few months, again, work on his promo ability, get a new character, stop jobbing, and
get a harder edge. Yeah, still be the show stealer, but also you have to be kind of a prick. In wrestling, you have to be kind of a prick. Just like Chris Jericho says in his book, you have to be kind of a jerk to get what you want in professional wrestling, or else people are going to walk all over you.
And that's the hard part with Ziggler, because he's, in the ring, too nice.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a perfect company man. Perfect employee, well, except for whenever he talked about Triple H, which he's been paying for ever since. On Twitter, yes, but I think that's the reason why notice how they stopped pushing him the moment he said those comments.
Yep.
So yeah, and that's another thing that goes beyond wrestling. Don't bite the hand that feeds you, or else maybe you'll be out of a job, or maybe you'll be in a lesser role.
Anyways, so let's go ahead and get away from that. Really shortly, we're coming up on the new year, and the new year means one thing.
Resolutions?
No.
Okay, then what? I'm confused. Oh, yes.
Full season. And we're seeing the last season of the BCS system. How do you feel about that?
Oh, it couldn't have come fast enough. I wish we could do it now. The BCS, or as we like, it stands for Bowl Championship Series, but as college football fans know, it stands for Bull Crap System. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to know why this is such a flawed system. And you've seen so many teams throughout the years, get into the national championship game when other teams are more deserving. Granted, and I'm saying, and keep in mind guys, I'm coming at this from an SEC fan standpoint. Mm-hmm. And you know, you think I'd be a huge supporter of the BCS because the SEC has won the last 7 national championship titles. But I'm not. I hate the BCS. I always have and I always will, and I'm glad to see it go. I'm glad we're finally seeing some proper playoff system, just like they've had in the lower football subdivision. I was watching FCS college football Division II playoffs, and it was phenomenal. But that being said, you don't have to go back very far to realize how crappy this system is. Yep. You've got players complaining about it, coaches complaining about it, guys at the Associated Press probably complaining about it too. So I'm glad that it's going away.
It's time, and it's just one of those things. I mean, it was an interesting experiment. Clearly, it had some major flaws, and we will speak of it no more.
Yeah, goodbye, good riddance, BCS.
Also, coming up in the new year, I'm gonna need new coaches. 2 of them. So,
oh, you poor Texans fan.
Everyone knows, I'm both a Texans fan and I'm a UT guy, and we have fired Mac Brown, hallelujah. I know it sounds terrible, but it's time for new blood in the UT system, because we've been a mediocre football team, and we want to stop being mediocre. It's been a very profitable program. Much respects to Coach Brown for what he's done for us. He did a great job, but it's time for a new coach. We haven't gotten one yet at the time of this recording. I'm hoping we get one perfectly before the year is up, but we'll see. And, of course, I'm a Texan fan, and this one was heartbreaking because Gary Kubiak is a fantastic coach. He has been the best thing that happened to the Texans in a very long time. We've been a very, very lacking team for years, but when Coach Kubiak came around, he helped turn this ship around, helped make us an actual competitive football team, the best NFL team in Texas. Yeah, take that, Cowboys fans. And the thing is that it is very disappointing to see that he has to go in this way. They fired Coach Kubiak, and I understand why. It's obvious. They're not saying it, but he's been fired, obviously, for health reasons. The guy collapsed on the field, and now this is the best way they can let him go without, while basically protecting him. Because by firing him, now he can go off and get a job elsewhere. If they release him for medical reasons, that makes things more difficult, and it makes it hard to get a job.
Well, the thing is, I don't think they fired him just for health reasons. They fired him because they're 2-13. They're 2-13 now. They're on a 13-game losing streak.
That's part of it, but the reason I'm bringing up, they would have reassessed it at the end of the season. They did it now. You don't wait until the season's done before you fire someone. Traditionally,
usually yes,
unless there's one of two things: scandal or health. In this case, it's health, and it's like the guy said. They imagined that this would be going on much longer, that their partnership with Kubiak would be going on much longer. So I think it's very telling.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, I digress. I mean, that's also a part of why I've not been tuned into sports as much because, well, my teams aren't doing good, and I'm a sore loser for that.
Welcome to. Hey, I'm a Chiefs fan. I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Welcome to my world for the past several seasons until this season.
Wow.
Thank you, Lord. Hallelujah. We have a football team in Kansas City once again. Thank you, Andy Reid. Oh my gosh, I am so happy. This team has impressed me in so many different ways because I thought we were going to be a really bad team. I thought we were going to be 4-12. I honestly thought we were going to be that. But hey, and even with that predicted 4-12 record, it would have been an improvement over last year when we went 2-14. But throughout the season, I've been very impressed. Granted, I know a lot of the haters are going to come out and say, yeah, the cupcake schedule, and while there is some truth to that, let us have our moment. I'm not saying we're going to win the Super Bowl this year. I mean, we're making the playoffs, but we're going to get bounced in the first round by Indianapolis because they absolutely crushed us last week. But with that being said, I'm so happy that football is back in Kansas City. Their fans are piling up the stadium again. I'm just so happy that I have a team to root for again because as a child growing up in the 90s, where the Chiefs could do no wrong except in the playoffs.
At least you had that.
Yeah, at least we had that because over the last 6 or 7 years, minus that one exception back in 2010, 2011, or was it 2009, 2010, where we went 10-6. Our team has been awful. So happy to have Kansas City Chiefs, proper Kansas City Chiefs football back in Kansas City. I'm looking forward to our future. Because we really need another Super Bowl. The last Super Bowl we won was over 45 years ago, and we need another one. I'm not saying that Coach Andy Reid will get us to it, but hey, it's a step in the right direction. And I will take finishing 13-3, which we haven't played the final game of the season yet, so we could be 14 I think we'll be 13-3. And a trip to the playoffs. I'll take that over anything we've had for the past several years.
Indeed. All right, let's take the jock caps off. I think that's enough of that, and let's go ahead and just, before we wrap up, talk about what we've got in store for our channels for the new year, stuff that's coming up, new games, very shortly before we take off and go ahead and conclude for this. Thanks for hanging in with us this long, guys. So, what you got going on with your channel, my man?
As I'm sure all of you have noticed, the ones who are still watching my channel, I haven't been exactly producing a lot of content lately, mainly due to real life, personal stuff, issues going on. School has been really bothering me, just been destroying me, and plus I really haven't had a whole lot of reason to review a lot of chapters. As I mentioned before in this podcast, I just really got sick and tired of reviewing manga chapters because they weren't any fun. I mean, I really lost my enjoyment about reading manga, so I just got back to basics, so to speak, and I just started reading manga for the fun of it, not having to worry about making reviews that no one was going to watch anyway. So I'm looking forward to, granted they're not new series, but they're new to me. I'm looking forward to to more Attack on Titan. I should definitely make a series review of that because it is a phenomenal series. I'm looking forward to finishing up Kaichu wa Maid-sama because that is such an awesome, cutesy manga, and it's really funny. I look forward to finishing up Ouran High School Host Club. Just a bunch of different manga. I also need to I need to watch the live action Kenshin movie if I could ever get my hands on it. Oh well, that's what Pirate Bay's for. I'm kidding. Go buy your stuff, people. And basically, I mean, I haven't watched the latest Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast because they were talking about the new upcoming anime for the 2014 season. Granted, none of it I've never heard of, obviously, since it's brand new, but I was trying to do some research, and as you all know, I'm a manga fan first and foremost, so if the manga comes first, I have to read the manga first before I watch the anime. So I'm looking forward to doing all that fun stuff, and hopefully I will get some more money in my pocket once I get my financial situation stabilized here. Once I get some more money in my pocket, maybe I could buy some more cosplays, and maybe you and I could hit up a convention this summer.
Maybe. We'll have to see. Just depends on where I'm at financially, too. Hopefully things get a little more settled over here. Maybe find some contract work while I'm at it. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see.
Because we definitely need a room together.
Yeah, definitely. If we do that, just make it cheaper.
And record it for our YouTube channels, because that would be even amazingly awesome. And you need to get Monster Hunter so we can have our co-op in our hotel rooms.
God, for the Wii U, we can do it that way.
I got it for the 3DS. Will that work?
Yeah, it actually does.
Oh, cool. We can do that. Are you willing to haul your Wii U all the way to Dallas if we go to Akon, for example?
Well, if Bros will let me.
Yeah, it really is their console.
It is theirs, so. Anyway, very cool. Sounds like things are gonna happen.
Yep, and don't you have a couple anime that you're looking forward to?
Yes. Space Dandy's coming out. I'm really looking forward to that anime. It's gonna be coming out on Toonami, premiering in America first. So definitely looking forward to that. In terms of anime, currently I am blitzing through a bunch of series in preparation for stuff for my channel. As you guys probably noticed, I am going to try and wind down the Naruto content. It's not because I hate the series, guys. It's because I hate this arc, and until this arc blows over, I am done. review.
Speaking of Naruto, did you hear the latest goings-on at Jump Fiesta?
No, I did not hear the latest from Jump Festa. What's going on?
Well, granted, this is all interviews, and you know how unreliable they can be, so take it with a grain of salt. Actually, take it with mountainous piles of salt. Kishimoto says that Naruto is going to end in 2014.
Wow.
About freaking time.
Dang.
It's time to put this old cow out to pasture.
Indeed.
And Kishimoto can take a long deserved break from the cutthroat world of manga creation.
Definitely.
So
I'm looking forward to whatever he's got up his sleeve if he decides to continue, but I think with Naruto, it's very disappointing because it feels like it's being put down after probably one of the most lackluster arcs that could have ended at.
Well, to quote the old saying, it won't end with a bang, but with a whimper.
Indeed.
But with a whimper.
And that's really how it feels, because, I mean, the thing is that there was all this build-up, and what did we get? What did we really get in the past 2 years? A big pile of nothing.
Yes.
And I'll rant about that later. I mean, there's no need to rant about Naruto now, because I've got that coming up next year in January when I talk about December, but yeah, to say the least, I'm done. Like the series is done. I'm gonna double check that, make sure that isn't the 100% true. If that's the case, then I might just go ahead and wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, granted, you know my story with Naruto. I mean, I've had a deep personal connection with it, up until I stopped following it about a year and a half, maybe possibly 2 years ago.
Drop it. You really
I dropped that thing like it was hot. So, I mean,
good series, but not
to go into a rant, but I have never seen a series start out so good,
decline in quality,
and decline so quality that fast.
That fast too. I know. It was just one arc, because it went from, look, the Pain arc was fantastic, and then you get that ending, and it's like, not so great, but you know, it can recover, because you got the next thing, right? And then the next arc, the summit, it's okay, there's potential, and then the war happens, and then no.
I mean, it just, I don't know, it's really depressing when I see a series that I love so much decline to crap status that it is right now. Yeah. I mean, it's pretty much, what could I compare it to?
It's going from Stargate Atlantis to Stargate Universe.
Well, that's for you. I mean, I haven't watched Stargate in I don't know how long. But to me, it's kind of like going from Halo 2 to Halo 3 and how it just completely turned on its ear and just declined that quickly. Everything you love and cherish about Halo 2, the online, the level design, the gameplay, the everything.
Though. That's like, dude, you want to talk bad? Try Halo Reach to Halo 4.
I'd rather not go down that avenue.
Boy.
Yeah. But anyway, so, I mean, I dedicated pretty much my entire high school, cause I was a fan of Naruto throughout high school. Yep. From freshman to, I mean, that's pretty much, cause I went through some bad times in that, but Naruto being good got me through it, or it's one of the things that got me through it. But just to see something that I love and cherish so much just decline that rapidly and be so lackluster in quality, it's just, blech.
What sucks is that for me, it really has turned the whole thing stale for me, which is really too bad. It really shouldn't, because there's so much of it that was so good, but I don't know, man. I see stuff out there now and I'm just like, I really don't care. And I feel terrible for not caring. I just don't care.
Yeah, but thankfully there's a new obsession in my life, and that is Shingeki no Kyojin.
Attack on Titan. I still want to get back to that, but soon enough. I've got other stuff going on. I've talked about this before. I'm gonna be doing.
It's not far along. Yeah, it's not far in the series. Sorry,
I'll
I
catch
didn't mean
up.
to interrupt yet again. It's not far in the series, so I mean, the manga chapters are kind of long well, actually, they have to be long since it's a monthly manga. Yeah, so you get about 30 to 45 pages worth of manga every month. So, and there's only like 57, 58 chapters right now. So, yeah, I mean, you better start. I mean, the sooner you start it, the better. But if you put it off for another 6 months, you won't be missing that much, I don't think. But definitely start it because it is phenomenal. And right now, a big plot twist happens. So I won't spoil it for you, but it's huge, and you'll be surprised what happens.
All right. Well, when I get around to it. Now, in terms of other stuff, I just finally caught up with The World God Only Knows. So good, so fun. I'm mad that I caught up now.
Yeah, the World God Only Knows, that's the main character, the guy with the glasses, and we might have touched this in other, that is my friend Corbin.
Oh my gosh.
Like, you take a picture, wow. What's his name?
Kama.
You take a picture of Kama, and you put it next to my friend Corbin. Spitting freaking image.
That's kind of creepy. No, what's really funny is that my brother said, dude, so Kama's kind of like this and that, and then I just go out, they say, and he always ends everything with, in games. Exactly like that. I'm like,
what, he always ends it with what? You cut out
guessing the dub. He says, in games. Just like that. And I'm like, oh, well, I just guessed that's what it would be. And they're like, yeah, well, that's what the dub guy does. And
if you
sure
could
enough, pretty funny.
Well, if you can guess it, that's not a good sign.
Well, no. If you can guess it, that is a good sign. It means that they got the character right.
Well, I'm talking about from a story perspective. You know how...
No. I'm not talking... No. They said, he always says in games, and I said it.
Oh, okay. I get what you're saying now.
Different thing. Anyways, whatever. So yeah, finally caught up that, which is good. Let me think what else. I'm rewatching Gundam Wing. I'm rewatching Cowboy Bebop and my brothers. They've never seen it before, so they're eating it up. I'm watching Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood.
You probably should. Are your brothers relatively new to the anime, to the medium?
No, they're not.
Okay, I was about to say, if they're relatively new to the medium, you did them a disservice, because after Cowboy Bebop, it's all downhill from there.
Well, that's the whole thing, though. I mean, it is still a good first one, because that's like, yeah, but that's everything it can be. And it makes it a little critical, but guess what? It's so good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. So, no, they've seen some other stuff. We're watching Brotherhood right now, and I'm also watching, and this is more of a hate watch, but I'm watching Valvrave the Liberator. And
I've never heard of that series.
Vava is so bad, and if you've never seen Vava before, I recommend you do. Now that sounds really crazy, but at least watch the first episode. It's a mecha.
Oh God!
Watch the first episode, and you'll get what I mean. This is, and we're watching it because we're literally intrigued by how terrible this series is, and how it can get worse. But basically, Valvrave the Liberator is best described as the 50 Shades of Grey of mecha anime. And let me explain why we describe it that way.
Are there whips and chains?
There are not whips and chains, but there is something that happens in episode 10 that I'm not going to talk about now. But basically, the reason we call it that is because it is literally the male equivalent to Twilight fanfiction gone awry. It is literally, it feels like a high schooler's attempt to make a Gundam series. Except that it actually got turned into a series by the creators at Sunrise.
You are tempting me to watch this, and I just might have to follow through.
Episode.
I mean, I don't even like mecha to be
so catastrophic.
Well, I do like some mecha, but
that you're like, literally, the way that that my brothers and I have described it is that it's one of those series that you watch and you can't look away. It is so terrible. You're like, oh wow.
Oh, it's like a wreck on the highway.
It is a beautiful wreck on the highway. You need to watch it. Because the thing is that the animation is actually really good, but the story is so mind-numbingly stupid.
Yeah, because I was about to say, what makes this show so terrible? Is it like bad production, horribly acted, bad story?
Is good, and the acting is decent. It's passable, but the writing is just so bad.
Yeah, there's only so much that the actors can do when they have a horrible script to read from.
You have to see this.
Who's the studio behind it? Is it Madhouse?
It's Studio Sunrise.
Oh my, well, that explains the good animation.
Yes, that's my whole point. It's Sunrise. It's actually, and it's got this great opening. And it just gets stuck in your head. Din, 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 din. You guys see it. Anyways, but, so we're going through that. I've talked about it on my channel. I'm gonna try, and once the content ID thing blows over, either move
if it blows over.
If it doesn't, then we're going to be probably jumping on the blip train if something else doesn't come up. But the series I'm working on with my brothers, it's called Novices in Anime and Manga, NAME for short. I'm working with them. We're going to be working on those reviews. I'm going to have a little bit of input, not as much, until we get further into the series. In which point,
can I get on top of that? I've been looking for a group. I hate doing stuff by myself.
That one is a little bit of a hard one to do because that one actually is being scripted and shot all live here.
Gotcha, I understand.
That's the only reason. But we might be doing some different roundtables. If we do a roundtable discussion, it might also mean the expansion of the MAVcast, focusing more on anime and manga. And we might focus on that more in future ones. This one kind of turned into a sports love fest, so we'll try and make the next one a little bit more anime and video game focused next time.
Yeah.
Although we did have plenty.
Hey, just remember, folks, without sports, you wouldn't have video games because the original video game was Pong, or one of the original video games was Pong.
Well, it is the original. But anyways, Ralph Baer's version, of course. But the biggest thing is that I'm also waiting because I'm also looking at doing some video game reviews again. Particularly, I'm going to go over every game Hideo Kojima's ever made.
Ooh, you're in for a long haul.
Oh yeah, well, it starts with Snatcher, and I'm going to do all the Metal Gear games eventually. I'm going to do Police Knots. I'm really looking forward to doing Police Knots. Actually have it right here in my hands.
I want to see what you have to hear about Zone of the Enders.
Ooh,
or what you have
yes,
to say.
Zoe. That's going to be fun as well. But I'm looking at doing a review of all of those games. And in addition, if I do Zoe, I'm also going to probably do the animes as well.
Well, you have to now because you said Hideo Kojima's ever made, so his name's on it.
Yeah, well,
you have to
his
do
name's
it.
not actually on the animes. He's not actually involved with those. Those were done by Sunrise. But
okay.
I'll do them anyways because particularly Idolo. If you've never seen Idolo, go check that one out. It's a really interesting OVA.
I'll have to check that out.
One of my personal favorites, personally, because it's short, it is mecha, but its twist on it is just interesting. It gives a lot of good backstory to the first game. But anyways, so that, waiting to see how Content ID goes. I might be moving the channel off of YouTube. I'll have the main channel on YouTube. I'll be redirecting you over to the Blip channel, particularly for name, as well as my video game reviews. But again, that's something that's in the future. And
man, I gotta move down there to where y'all are, cause, that way we can do more live action stuff.
That would be fun.
I almost forgot. Another series, well, it's a remake of an old guilty pleasure junk food anime, but the new Sailor Moon anime that is going to be coming out, I am on pins and needles waiting for that. I was so disappointed when they delayed that, but whenever that comes out early next year, which is, next year starts next week. Whenever that comes out early next year, anywhere from January to March, I am going to be uber excited for it because, yes, I am a guy, but I'm a child of the 90s, and back in the 90s we had to take whatever anime we could get, and Sailor Moon, even if you deny that you watched that show, you watched it.
Of course. I mean, even I'm willing to admit that was one of the ones that showed up on Toonami when I was, first getting into it as a kid. I mean, I didn't really get full force into anime until I was in high school. That's really when the medium just took hold of me because I really got into animation again. But no, as a kid, I mean, it was that, and I remember the opening of Outlaw Star.
Yeah. You're not like me, cause I got into anime thanks to Pokemon and, DBZ, but.
Yeah, I didn't have cable, so.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, my personal history, I got into Pokemon, I got into DBZ, and they were nice little diversions, but I watched some, Cardcaptor Sakura here and there, but I didn't really get full force into it around like early 2002 because that's when we finally got Cartoon Network full time. Yeah. Because all the stuff that I learned on anime was whenever I was at my cousin's house who had Cartoon Network.
And that's how it was for me too. Except that I just didn't get into it until I had it on a regular schedule, and that was only through web streaming.
Yeah, and then what really made me fall in love with the medium was Rurouni Kenshin. To this day, I still think it's the best ever. And granted, it's objective because, like with wrestling, it's manga and anime people.
I mean, all things are objective when it comes to works of art, and that's okay, including pro wrestling.
Yes, but so anyway, that's my short, brief sum up of how I got into anime. But the new Sailor Moon anime that's coming out. Oh, I cannot wait. Yeah. It's gonna be awesome. And while I was scavenging the internet for anything Sailor Moon related, including all the episodes, they actually did a live action show.
Really now, this I gotta see sometime.
Oh, no, I mean, granted, it's a little bit older. I think they did it back in like the late 90s, early 2000s ish. But it was a live action TV series, and the Japanese voice actress, the Japanese actress that plays Sailor Mars, so hot. And I'm not saying that just because she's the element of fire. She is good looking.
Wow.
But the live action series is actually really good too. Believe it or not, a lot, unbeknownst to us anime fans over here in the West, a lot of the times the popular anime, if it does well enough, they will make live action series of it.
Absolutely. I mean, and even same goes with games. Look at what they did with Phoenix Wright. You'd think that would be the anime, but nope.
Live action, which I would think that that would make more sense in live action, I would think.
Well, but at the same time, what makes Phoenix Wright famous? Stuff like objection. That doesn't translate as well to live action. I'm just saying.
Well, maybe not in a Western stance, but maybe but you know the Japanese, you know, maybe they found a way to work around it.
Well, anyways, regardless. So yeah, no, it sounds like it's going to be good. I'm looking forward to seeing what else is going to come up soon the season. Of course, I'm so hyped for the return of Kill la Kill. Oh my god. I love that show. It's so ridiculous.
And I think I might give this show a shot, but then again, I'm not a fan of, and this technically isn't made by a Japanese studio, but it's made by Rooster Teeth, Ruby. A lot of people have been hyping it up, and the more you hype something up, the less I want to watch.
Yeah, I was about to say with Ruby, because you're hearing a lot of the hype. Don't buy into the hype with Ruby, and this is coming from someone that likes Ruby. Ruby is a great series. It's something that you should definitely check out. Just remember, it's Rooster Teeth doing an animated show that's completely original, and it's not going to have top-notch production values. If you can accept that, it's really good. I mean, it is. Also, try and get it on the Blu-ray or watch it back to back to back. Do not. You need to marathon it in order to enjoy it.
Well, of course, that's how I watch all my animes. It's just I marathon stuff now.
Like watch all on the same day.
Okay.
Because the episodes are so short that you need to try and watch it all on the same day if possible. If not, then space out between 2 or 3 days. Watch it multiple episodes at a time. The runtime really hurt that show, watching it as it was being released.
Yeah.
But check it out.
The reason why is because that's deterring it for me. One, the hype. Two, Rooster Teeth. Listen, I loved Rooster Teeth back when they were doing the whole Red versus Blue, and it's still going on, but I just got burnt out on Red versus Blue, plus my own disdain for Halo now. That's kind of made me turn away from Rooster Teeth.
Don't worry about any of that, because this show is totally not that at all. So
I understand.
So, give it a shot.
Yeah, I might give it a shot. I just wish, I don't know. Granted, this doesn't apply because there was no manga. My personal issues, if there's no manga predating the anime, it kind of, I don't know, it feels like I'm missing something.
You're not. It's just that you're so used to the adaptation complex. You've got an adaptation complex. You assume that there is a manga original, when the fact of the matter is that the best animes, the best animation out there doesn't have an original medium, because guess what? Animation is the medium that the story was designed for, and that's a good thing, because that means it can take the most out of the format, the runtime, etc. And again, that's coming from a biased perspective. After all, what industry am I in again?
Well, maybe I just prefer like the leisureliness. Is that even a word? Leisurely pace of a manga or a comic book as opposed to a TV show, because as I've said, I can read a few manga chapters in the same time it takes me to go through a single standard episode of an anime, that sort of thing.
I could, but at the same time, I like being able to just watch, enjoy, and take in the world. But that's just me.
Yeah.
Alright guys, well it has been a very, very long cast. Thank you for strapping in and hanging in with us. Hopefully next time will be a little bit shorter. And we'll also be a little bit more focused on things that we know interest you guys, probably more. But you know what? It's our podcast, and we're going to do what we're going to do. And that's
whatever, we do what we want.
So, Thanks, guys. God bless. Have a great week, and we'll hopefully see you guys next month, sometime in January in the new year, where we'll catch back up, talk more about anime.
My birthday, by the way.
Ooh.
Yeah, so maybe we'll have to do that. Yeah, we'll have to do that around my birthday. That would be your birthday gift to me.
Of course.
Me bugging the crap out of you. It's
like
yeah. Well, don't worry, I won't be too liquored up. So, anyway, guys, thank you for listening. Sorry about the length of it, but hey, whenever you don't do episodes for months on end due to your own schedules, you tend to have a lot to talk about.
It does happen. All right, guys, we'll see y'all later. Alright guys, thanks for tuning in to the MAVcast. Hopefully we'll have one out much sooner next time. If you're interested in any of the music that we've been playing in between each segments, they're from a little group called Dirty Androids. They're out of Japan, and their music's best known for being featured in the Beatmania 2DX franchise, which has a new entry coming out and a new song from them. But the songs you've been hearing here are from their album Wanderlust. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to find. You should be able to find some links from their website, but be forewarned, they're only in Japanese, and it seems that the disc is only available out of Japan. Go figure. I'll leave it to you to decide how you need to get your hands on it. Before we go, we're going to play a little song of theirs called Miami Sunset Drive, just for those of you that want to close out with a little music recommendation. So, that being said, God bless, and we'll hopefully see y'all soon back here on the MAVcast. Stay tuned, and thanks for listening.